Zarias is facing first-degree murder and child cruelty charges in the stabbing of Yolanda Rojo. A new name for Cesar Chavez Elementary. That school will be renamed in August, and at the behest of the granddaughter of Cesar and Helen Chavez, the school will be renamed for her grandmother instead of her grandfather. Barbara Ibarra made the case for that in front of the Bakersfield City School Board Tuesday night, reports ABC 23, and the board agreed that it was the best choice, despite that name never having been discussed by the renaming committee. The Pierce fire intact caused some evacuation orders to be put in place Tuesday, but those orders have since been lifted. So far, the brush fire has burned about 200 acres and was about 5% contained, with firefighters still working on it. The fire is along Highway 33 between Hilliard Street and Midway Road, and that is the area where the highway was closed to traffic. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
To the rest, well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's going to give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm going to make him an offer again.
The Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for, live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we stream live at KERNradio.com, and we're broadcasting live on YouTube. And the Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call the folks at Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638. We got another busy show on this hump day, 24th day of June. There is chaos in the Capitol. The president has refused to sign a housing bill, trying to get the numbers for his Save America Act. We'll unpack that in just a second. Zoran Mamdani is the leader of the Democratic Party. A socialist, borderline communist is leading the Democratic Party, and it is the greatest thing that has ever happened to Republicans since a bearded man came out of Kentucky in the 1860s. That would be Abe Lincoln for those of you that were smoking weed during history lessons. We'll unpack that in just a second. And of course, our good friend Nick Ragone will join us. I'll be blunt. I just create reasons to get Nick on the show because I just think he's popular and charismatic, and I think you guys enjoy listening to him. But there is a break in golf news. Tiger Woods came out of rehab as part of the foundation's putting the new structure together, and there is a new structure in the PGA. I'm being very ambiguous because I don't get it. So I had to call to Philadelphia to get Nick to come on at 4 o'clock and explain it to us. Plus, Wyndham Clark. You hear this comment, Mr. Sportsman?
Which one are we talking about now?
The U.S. Open winners' comments? You either heard it or you didn't.
I listened to him on McAfee yesterday, but I'm not sure.
And there's nothing that stood out?
I mean, I really wasn't paying attention to most of it.
Clearly. He went on a diatribe about how back in 2016, he hated Baker Mayfield because his girlfriend cheated on him with Baker Mayfield. And I'm like,
I do remember
did
the
you
story
really dig that up? Like, why? You just won your second U.S. Open, and you're going to dig up a 10-year-old grudge with Baker Mayfield, who's now a married man? And I bet that's an interesting conversation with Mrs. Mayfield. And what's his number? What's his number? Don't tell me. What's his number? It's not 12. What is Baker famous? You don't know off the top of your head either?
Wow. 6, but I might be wrong on that.
Is it 6? I think it is 6. Let me see if I can beat you. Hey, Siri.
He is number 6.
Yeah, number 6. Okay. Yeah, I bet that's a no, never mind. I bet that's an interesting conversation tonight at the Mayfield dinner table. We'll unpack that. And the RMS Titanic Incorporated, an organization that has existed since obviously 1912. Again, for those that were smoking weed in history, that's when the most famous downing of a ship occurred. They're trying to sell some of the jewelry that has been recovered since we're now able to go down to those kind of depths. And well, at least some of us. Too soon for that? Did you get that illusion, or did you even hear what I said?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that one flew over my
I
head.
said, for those that can get down there, you don't remember happening about 2-3 years ago when that submarine exploded on its way down? A little too soon.
Am I?
Yeah, if I have to, I was going to say, if I have to explain it, it's way too late.
late.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And BCSD, the Bakersfield School District, made just an absurd decision. I mean, not only was their decision absurd, but their process, in which they asked the community to provide names. They provided names, and they said, you know what? Screw the community. We're going to break it down to either Helen Chavez, and I'm not making this up, and I'm sure most of you know this as you watch the news. They were actually going to name a school, Si Se Puede. Yes, we can. Those were the two that no one that got, one of them got one vote. I think Helen Chavez, which they ended up naming the school Caesar's wife after Caesar. But Si Se Puede got no votes. And yet this incredible board still considered it. Now, here's the thing that I have a problem with Helen Chavez. I don't know anything about Helen Chavez. I didn't even know he was married, to be honest with you. But what do we know about Helen Chavez? And what if Helen Chavez was an enabler of Cesar Chavez? I mean, that has been the tradition with powerful men who are having affairs. Jacqueline Kennedy absolutely enabled John. Eleanor Roosevelt enabled Franklin. You can go down the list of women who absolutely knew their men were having affairs and absolutely enabled it. Well, that was okay in the middle of the 20th century, in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. To have a 21st century or late 20th century woman enabling her husband, particularly when the husband's affairs are crimes. So I'm saying that the BCSD acted absolutely ahead of its skis and should have done a little more digging. And I think that is one of the reasons that the residents of Delano said, or not Delano, the Northeast said, we don't want to name this after anybody. They came up with like Mar Vista, Blue Skies, Orange Ground. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want anything named after anybody because you go back down this trail again, particularly if you're going to go down the Chavez Trail. Who knows what might pop up, what Helen Chavez is responsible for or enabled or whatever. Si se puede? And these people are educators. It's amazing the incompetence. And not even, let's say I agreed with Helen Chavez. I would still come in here and say, you know, I agree with the name. I think it's great. Helen Chavez is a wonderful human being, blah, 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 blah. But to ignore what the community wants, what the parents want, just doesn't make sense to me. To you? Just asking. We'll talk about that. And the Dodgers got a big win last night. They trounced the Twins last night. That was fun to watch. And coming up at the 5, we're going to meet Nicole Alvarez. She's the executive director of Discovery America that is serving the aforementioned BCSD. It's part of a 4th through 8th grade program that is connected with Bakersfield College. So we'll talk with them at 5:05. But in the meantime, let's get started. We'll take our first break of the day and come back and unpack the chaos in the Capitol. Why did the president literally scuttle a housing bill while his people were erecting a news conference where there was going to be a signing of the bill? Nobody, and I do mean no one, saw this coming. Not the White House staff, not John Thune out of South Dakota, the majority leader in the Senate, not Mike Johnson, the House Speaker from Louisiana. No one saw this coming. And I don't mean to labor this point, but if you weren't with us late in the show yesterday, I played S.E. Cupp reading late night, or I guess I should say early morning rant by the president, which if you had not told me Donald Trump wrote it, I would have thought Joe Biden wrote it, if you smell what I'm cooking. And now he does this inexplicable move that could destroy the Republican Party right at a time where we're about to gain because the Democrats are going socialist. He's your guy. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, y'all. Either in the chat room, text, or I don't know, show the temerity to actually call the show and talk to a brother. Quick timeout. We're just getting started on this Wednesday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk.
Adaptive.
You got one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, cybersecurity is a tremendous issue in the 21st century. We've talked about this with Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, the IT company that Kern Radio Studios are powered by. And why did we get in bed with the folks at Adaptive Networks? Reliability and their quick service. Again, as
He
I
said, is that Fresno?
We're a radio station.
Yeah, he said it was.
Depend on our IT. We can't
Fresno
have
or
somebody
Florida,
say, "Well,
one of
we'll
the
be there
two."
tomorrow. We'll be there on Monday. No. We need them here today. That's why we turn to the folks at Adaptive Networks, as you should as well. And again, as I talked about, cybersecurity is the number one issue when it comes to IT. I told you about the academic
I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
of their information. Well, Adaptive Networks can stay
Listen,
that
I
off,
have a
and
long
if they
shirt and
don't,
pants on.
they can
That
retrieve
ain't
your
happening.
information without a ransom. Call the folks at Adaptive Networks today at 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638. Or hit them online at adaptive-net.com.
Patrick was way behind on his
73
IRS
degrees.
taxes.
I was in way over my head. And the total
Hell no,
amount
not
ended
in
up
here.
being just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Look, folks, you already know that your garage door is a very important part of your home, from the overall look of the place to the safety and security it provides. So obviously, you should only trust the service, repair, and maintenance of your garage door to the pros at King Door Company. Their skill and product knowledge are unmatched in the industry, and that's no accident. The techs at King Door are rigorously trained at the King Door Academy. That's right. King Door has an in-house training facility to make sure your job is done right on the first try. They're trained in all the latest equipment, tools, and techniques. They even learn how to listen to customer concerns through role-playing exercises. And you'll see how well all this training works when they show up right on time in fully stocked service trucks with all the parts and equipment to service or repair any garage door. Like I said, your garage door is a very important part of your home, so leave it to the pros at King Door Company. Schedule your appointment today at kingdoor.com. King Door Company, the company with the pride of a lion. Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Ooh, baby, here I am, sign, seal, delivered, I'm yours. Ah! Whoa, sign, seal. Gotta get to the hook. I did a lot of sin things that I didn't really mean. That's all I wanted. 842-537-6842 KERN. So again, the president has canceled this bipartisan bill that deals with affordability. And isn't that the main issue that we're going to hear all the way till November? And why he would scuttle this? Well, the reason being he wants the SAVE Act. He wants, let me break it down. I wrote it down. I don't want to get this wrong. All that is involved with the SAVE Act. I think I wrote it down. Federal elections bill must prove citizenship, which I disagree with. Let's get what we can out of this bill. We could get ID. That's pretty simple. Let's just start there. Let's force the states to provide identification for mail-in ballots or for any other ballot, but proof of citizenship that comes with an comes with a license or any state offered government issued identification. And there's no argument in the world that one could present that precludes having an identification, because all of us, just to fly, had to go back. Those of us with licenses and identifications had to go back to the DMV and get a brand new identification just to get on a plane. And you're telling me, Sonny Hostin, that us poor black folks down in the South and in rural areas of America just don't have the wherewithal or the money to get a government issued ID? She's so stupid. She doesn't even hear how condescending and stupid that was. And if a white man would say that, she'd be the first critic. What do you mean we don't have the wherewithal? What are you talking about? This is the 21st century. Of course we can get government issued ID. But when it's in part of an argument to save the Democratic Party and to get more people to vote democratically, big D, then of course, well, this is a horrible, horrible onus that we're putting on these poor people, whites and blacks and Latinos. And that's insane. That's absolutely insane. Because there's nothing you can do in the world without an identification. In fact, there are some cases where you can go to jail for not presenting an identification, where the judge might throw it out, but a cop can stop you. And if you don't give him his ID, you can get charged with obstruction. Now, it's likely, unless you've been suspected of a crime or committed a crime, it's likely to get thrown out, but that doesn't stop you from spending the night in jail for not having identification on you. So I like the SAVE Act in terms of providing ID, but providing citizenship, and the bottom line is, who cares what Ralph Bailey thinks about it? The numbers aren't there. The numbers aren't there for a majority, because Trump's other argument is I listen to the Ralph Bailey show every day. And Bailey tells me that the Democrats are going to come into power and get rid of the filibuster. Why don't we get the first shot off? If it's going to happen inevitably, why don't we do it, cram in some legislation while I'm still in office, and I can have the SAVE Act? But the votes just aren't there. Republicans are not in favor with it. And I think I may have sold you guys a poor bill of goods when I keep telling you, oh, they're going to get rid of the filibuster, they're going to get rid of the filibuster. I'm not so sure about that. I think there are some staunch old school cats in the Senate who do believe in the whole way that this thing was put together by the founding fathers. What you have to understand is, and this may sound odd because you really have to delve into history. This is beyond 10th, 11th, 12th grade history. But if you study the revolution, if you study the beginnings of this country, the founding fathers were against majority rule. As crazy as that sounds, they were against the majority rule. Where's my proof of this? The Electoral College. The Electoral College. The Electoral College was established because of the fear of mob rule, that Virginia and the larger colonies would gang up, and then the smaller colonies like Delaware and up in that area would have no say in a presidential election. They were fearful. Go read the Federalist Papers. Go read Jefferson. They were scared to death. They were as scared as a majority rule or mob rule as they were a king. And so the whole design of our government is set up for deliberation. Hence, 60 votes to get something passed, not just a simple majority. 6 years for the senators, longer than any elected official in our democracy. So you understand the history lesson I'm giving you and why I may have been wrong about even Democrats wanting to get rid of the filibuster. But at the end of the day, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Why? Because those same deliberative senators who under normal circumstances would not want to get rid of the filibuster for the very reasons that Republicans don't want to do it. Because the Democrats know that sooner or later, the Republicans will be in power, and then they'll shove legislation through with a 50% majority, and the vice president coming and breaking the tie are just 51 senators. But this is different. And what is the big difference? What I've been telling you for as long as I've been doing the show? The Supreme Court. That 6-3 majority that is a burr underneath their saddle. So you damn Skippy, they're going to get rid of the filibuster, and the very first thing they're going to do is add members to the court. There's no way they're going to sit still for this 6-3 majority, even though, as we talked with Teresa Goldner, our federal judge, they're going to come down with a bunch of rulings in the next week or two, and very few of them are going to be in favor of Donald Trump, in my opinion, and some of those, even Teresa agrees with me. We disagree on birthright, although she's starting to realize that I'm going to win that bet. There's no way in the world that the Supreme Court is going to rule that if you're born here, you're not a citizen. That's just not happening. And I suggest it could be. I'd like to say 9-0, but, you know, Clarence and Sam Alito, it'll be 7-2. They'll hold out. They'll come up for some reason why, if you're born here and blah, 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 and they'll bring up China and the Chinese coming over here just to have babies so they can have American citizenship, which is true and should be curtailed, outlawed, actually. But to claim that anyone born here isn't a citizen, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. Meantime, the party is in chaos. It truly is. And the only saving grace is that the Democratic Party is in chaos. While Zoran Mamdani is running around like the king of New York, which he is right now, and the leader of the Democratic Party, for that matter. He was 3 for 3 last night. He just sent 3 socialists to Congress. And one of them defeated a Kennedy, Jack Schlossberg, Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg's son, the grandson of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, didn't lose. He got his ass kicked. He got 10% of the vote. I believe that's a Kennedy record, an infamous record, but a record nevertheless, 10%. And there's a part of me that believes if Carolyn doesn't use her married name, Schlossberg, a Jew, and John Kennedy's grandson has to wear that Jewish name in New York, where normally it would, under normal circumstances, that would happen. As most of you know, there's a high Jewish population in New York. But in the last 5, 7, 10 years, there's this wave of anti-Semitism, particularly since October 7th. And he got destroyed. I mean, like destroyed, like, all right, I'll go be a lawyer. I mean, there were like 6 candidates. I think he was 4th. He wasn't even in the zip code of winning this thing. And he's a brilliant cat. He really is. But this is The Chinese, man, they were right. May you live in interesting times. There's nothing more interesting than this, where basically I have to report to you to end this segment. Both parties are falling apart. And you know what's going to happen? Maybe not now, maybe not 3 years from now, but 5 years from now, some charismatic, independent, or libertarian, or what is it? Desire not to state. Because the independent is a party. I tried that.
Right.
But it's desire not to state. You know what I'm talking about. You're neutral. Somebody charismatic is going to organize those people, and we're going to have a third party sooner or later.
No party affiliation?
Yeah, we're going to have a third party sooner or later. Absolutely. Trump's numbers are in the toilet. The Republican Party's numbers are in the toilet. The Democratic Party's in the toilet. And they finally come together and they put together a bill that will help affordability, this housing bill. And Trump says no. Break time out. We head into the back half of the hour. It's TRBS on a Wednesday. I'd stick around if I you.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The head of the UN's nuclear agency signaled that Iranian nuclear enrichment sites would be visited by his inspectors, a key component in the interim U.S.-Iran deal to reach an end to the war. But an Iranian diplomat instead insisted on Wednesday that any such visit would only come after a final deal. Okay. Leaders from the U.S. and Iran have repeatedly disagreed in public about what the interim deal actually means. A federal judge has permanently barred President Trump's administration from implementing most of his first executive order on elections. Trump's order included provisions that would have required people to show documentary proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. It also would have prevented mail ballots from counting if they're received after Election Day. On Wall Street, they're up by 182 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
68-year-old Kenneth Dobbins was a wanted man in California City, with police there saying that he had the dogs in the park on Heather Avenue, which attacked an 8-year-old girl and caused the drowning of a 12-year-old boy Thursday evening. Police say the boy ran and jumped into a pond to get away from the dogs. Cesar Chavez Elementary School in Bakersfield will have a new name to begin the new school year. It will instead be Helen Chavez Elementary. 23 ABC reports that Barbara Ibarra, the granddaughter of Cesar and Helen Chavez, spoke at last night's school board meeting, asking the board to remember the contributions of her grandmother in renaming the school, and the board agreed to that. That was a new suggestion that had not been discussed before, and the board is taking some flack for it. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And we're back. California Fruit Depot. Yes. Rob and Bob here. Advertising for California Fruit Depot. We've told you in the past. Yes. If you want to go, Google them. Yeah. Go out to Red Bank Road. They've got free lemons.
Exit 119.
Citrus. Dates, date shakes, smoothies, free lemonades. Parking. So moving on.
Next topic.
California Fruit Depot has hired us, and now they are going to sponsor us. Our triumphant return back to the airwaves of Bakersfield.
Oh, nice. Yes.
You folks asked for it.
We knew it was coming. Thank you so much.
We're coming back.
Due to popular demand.
Our award-winning show will soon be gracing the airwaves of one of these stations.
The Marconi, or was it Emmy? Well, a Peabody.
I think it was a Marconi.
A Pulitzer.
Yes.
One of those.
One of those awards we were almost nominated for. So we're going to be back on the air.
Yep, back on the air.
Sponsored by Cal Fruit Depot, home of the Navel Orange,
and
orange juice.
All the lemons you can eat.
And free lemons. Again, come back out and get the free lemons. Yep. Google us at calfruitdepot.com.
Before you hit the road for the holidays, make sure your car is ready for the journey. Kern Oil Change keeps your engine running smooth and your family safe. No appointments needed. Just drive in and their fast, friendly team will get you back on the road in minutes. Don't wait till you're stuck on the side of the road. Stop by Kern Oil Change today and travel with confidence this holiday season. Kern Oil Change has 2 locations to serve you. 3706 106 Coffee Road and 5651 Auburn Street. Kern Oil Change is open 7 days a week. Follow us on Instagram for additional savings.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name of the school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show. AM 1230 KERN.
And this is what he said.
I want to go on a little bit more about this movement that's being created in state and other parts. It's spreading because I think this is it's an interesting examination, and not all the exit polls are in, but it's clear that the Mamdani touched or endorsed candidates. You'd be amazed with who Chris, what demographic do you think they cleaned up in?
In terms of age, or are we talking race here?
Age, race, all the components.
I would say probably younger voters, maybe.
More information.
Or rural, maybe, probably the black and the Hispanic area?
No.
Oh.
No. Young, white, college-educated students.
Huh.
They did poorly among blacks, among Latinos, among low-income folk. And why is that? Think about it. Think about it. Why is that? That's why I wanted to talk about this a little bit more, because it's deeper than that. I believe that these young people are going socialist because they are part of a new generation that, for the first time in American history, perhaps, they're not going to do as well as their parents. They're just not. They're coming out of college, and they're college educated. They're coming out of college. Half of them are in debt up to their neck. The price of homes, and this is why this vote or this lack of a signature by the president just makes no sense. What's a home go for these days? Just a modicum 2-bedroom home, 2 baths. What, $3, $4, $500,000? What 24-year-old college graduate, teacher, professor can afford that, along with their student debt? And this is why I say that there was a period where blacks were considering socialism, and some accused Dr. King of being a socialist because coming up in the 1950s, there was a ceiling for African Americans. And so Dr. King said, let's spread the wealth. If the best job that most African Americans can get is a porter at a train station or a janitor at a local high school, then we should share the wealth. But since we've burst that ceiling, there's no need for that. And we talked about that in terms of affirmative action. But what these kids don't seem to understand is it's very attractive, isn't it? Free this, free that, free this, free that. But they just don't understand history. Socialism has been tried and tried and tried and tried, and it's never succeeded. Hell, within the last 10 years in the state of Missouri, they tried free public transportation. You know how long it lasted? 9 months. 9 months. And again, it gets back to what I keep quoting, Margaret Thatcher: socialism works until you run out of other people's money. And that's exactly what happened in Kansas City. They said, we're going to have free transit. And then after 9 months, they said, well, we ran out of money. We ran out of money. And the best explanation you can give to these kids, if you've got a granddaughter or grandson or child that is thinking socialism, because it's growing. It's growing. I told you I talked to my good friend Mike Davis, and he was telling he used to work for Maxine Waters. He's doing lobby work in and out of DC and in LA. and he's one of the smartest political minds that I ever heard. And he told me that the word in Los Angeles among politicos, because everybody hates Karen Bass, they're backing her, but they hate her. Where is our Zoran Memdani? That's what they're saying in Los Angeles. This thing is growing. It's growing, and it's going to grow. And that's just fine. That's just fine. Because again, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, you're going to run out of everybody's money sooner or later. Sooner or later, you're going to run out of everybody else's money. And the best way to explain, the best way I ever heard, this was when I was a kid. I had one of my favorite teachers of all time was a guy named Pedro. I think his last name was Castillo. He was our Spanish teacher. He was a refugee from Cuba. And he explained communism to us and how poorly we react as Americans to communism. And this is in the 70s now. This is in the 70s, where he was explaining, if you just let communism alone, it dies. It can't exist. By pure definition, it can't exist. Well, Castro kind of defied that for decades because of dictatorship. You can ignore the needs of your people. But the best way he explained it, he said, all right, do you want to understand what socialism is about? He said, how many kids we got in the class right here? And we're like, we don't know, Senor Castillo. Spanish, Ralph. Español solamente. Rafael. Yo no sé, Señor Castillo. Nosotros tenemos, I don't know, 40, yo no sé. We have 25 people. 25 people. All right. Now let's say we have 25 people. And of those 25, there are 7 that are getting A's, 7 that are getting B's, 7 that are getting C's, 7 that are getting D's. That's 28. And let's say they're 35, there's 7 that are getting F's. Okay? Well, under socialism, what we would do is we would take the 98 points that Ralph has achieved in this class, and we take about 10 points off of him. So now he's got an 88. Instead of having an A, he's got a B. And for Chris Burdick, who's got an 88, we'll take 10 points off of Chris. And instead of having an 88, a B plus, he's now got a C plus. And we're going to take those points from those higher students, and we're going to give it to the students that are getting 50s and 60s. So now J.R. Flores is getting a 56 in Spanish, and I intentionally named J.R. because that boy don't know how to speak Spanish. You believe that? He ran down the hallway, don't know how to speak Spanish. I speak better Spanish than our program director. But that's a side point. So now JR's got a 66 instead of a 56. And Randizzle's got a 76 instead of a 66. And we're all happy, right? Because nobody's failing. Well, what about me and Chris? I had an A, he had a B, and now we got a B's and C's. You inevitably run out of everybody else's money. That's the bottom line. You can't feed the poor if you don't take from the rich. And this whole Robin Hood theory is very popular at first. Háblame, mi amigo. Venga aquí. Venga.
Kiss you out in Spanish.
Did he? Cabrón. Lo siento mucho. Can you dump that? Because I just did curse on the radio.
I was going to tell you to stop in Spanish, but I don't know how to say stop in Spanish.
Alto! Alto, Rafael! Alto! Por favor! You run out of people's money inevitably. And that's why this is the best thing that's happened to the Republican Party since Abe Lincoln. I'm telling you. Because we got to ride this for a while. It's going to be really popular for a while. These young kids are going to be like, yeah, free rent, free transit, free everything, free daycare, yeah. And then Mamdani's going to be like, the New York City is broke. We are calling on Donald Trump or J.D. Vance, President Vance. Please give us money because we gave them a bunch of free stuff and now we're broke. It's inevitable. It is absolutely inevitable. And Van Jones even said, I couldn't find the audio because they cut it up. That's the only reason I didn't send it to you. You know, when they do it like in clips, and I didn't, you know, and sometimes when I do that, you take the whole freaking thing because you don't know that it's a clip, you know, so I didn't even get it. But Van Jones said, there's a famous, in fact, play me some, oh God, Gil Scott-Heron, The Revolution. And the song he'll play when we come back from the break, he talks about the revolution will not be televised. It's a great line. And if you're young and anyway, black, anyway. Well, Van Jones said the revolution is being televised and that it's going to collapse entirely on the Democratic Party. Because if you're Hakeem, you know what they were chanting at one of the three winners celebration parties? Hakeem Jeffries, you're next. Hakeem Jeffries, you're next. They're coming after the old school Democrats. And Hakeem Jeffries doesn't know what to do. There are three things you can do in a movement. You can join it. You can try to get out ahead of it and claim that you started it, or you can get the hell out of the way. And the Democrats can't afford to get the hell out of the way. They can't afford to join it because some of the beliefs of socialism is crazy. You should hear some of the past comments of the three candidates that won last night. Anti-Semitic, get rid of prisons, get rid of ICE, get rid of the police. I mean, some of the things that they're saying go way beyond woke. I mean, there's a difference between a progressive woke Democrat and a socialist. And shame on the Democratic Party for housing that old man up in, where's he from, Vermont? Where's Bernie from? Vermont or Rhode Island? Not Rhode Island, not New Hampshire. It's Vermont. He's from Vermont. Shame on them because he's not a Democrat. And yet they've allowed him to maneuver and work and even run for president under the Democratic banner. He is a socialist, period, end of sentence. So now the chickens are coming home to roost, and a Democratic Party that has put up with a guy who's a Nazi. They've now are putting up with anti-Semitic socialists, and they're going to enjoy some popularity for a while. They're going to win some elections for a while, but inevitably, if it's a year from now, if it's 2 years from now, if it's in 2028, or hell, if it's even 2032, the roof is going to come collapsing down because we know for a fact socialism simply doesn't work. It's a nice idea. We all eat well, we all survive, but it is anti-American. It goes against everything this country was built on and stands for. Meritocracy, lifting yourself by your bootstraps, being born in Beaufort, South Carolina, going to a ratty little high school like Robert Small's school, and somehow have a math knowledge that can get you out of this small little town, get you into Morehouse College, get you into Meharry Medical School, and have a life for your family. I swear to y'all, if you could see my father's high school as it existed, even in the 70s, 10, 15 years after he graduated, you'd say, there's no way an anesthesiologist graduated from that high school. They had 10 roofs. My father's books would get wet when it would rain. That is the beauty of America. And now the Democrats want to steal that from us and just say, let's just all be even. Let's just all distribute the wealth, and let's just all be even. And part of that reasoning is because, and this has historically happened many, many times. It happened in the 20s, it happened in the turn of the century. It happened during the Industrial Revolution. Whenever there is a chasm of wealth during the oil rush, whenever there's a chasm of wealth, those people on the bottom feel desperate to do anything to close that gap. And now these kids who grew up in wealth, grew up in 4 or 5 bedroom homes, 3 baths, pool, maybe even a tennis court, and they've gone off to Princeton and they've got their degree and they're ready to get out in the world. Ain't no jobs. They're still in debt. And they're interning at some television station, making $35,000 a year. And the idea of getting a house isn't even in their plans. It'll be short-lived. It'll be short-lived. But in the end, if we can get just Donald Trump to act right, stop refusing to sign bills that will help with affordability, the Republican Party will be okay. And the Democratic Party is about to, they're like drug addicts. They're on a high right now. They did a couple lines, snorted a little something, something. They're high as kites right now, having a ball, just having a ball. But the problem is, when you get that high, you got to come down. And if you think you can sell socialism in Iowa, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, the swing states, Wisconsin, Michigan, good luck with Ohio. Good luck with that. Yeah, I bet those Quakers in Pennsylvania love the idea of socialism. Yeah, good luck with that. New York does not represent the United States of America. Suffice it to say. Quick timeout. Nick Ragone. Oh, I just broke my pen. Nick Ragone joins at the top of the hour. There has been a change to the PGA structure. Mr. Ragone will explain it to us. Then coming up at the 5, we're going to meet Nicole Alvarez. She's the executive director of Discovery America. It is a program that's serving the BCSD and sending 4th through 8th graders to college experience. She will explain coming up at 5. In the meantime, though, you're listening to TRBS on a Wednesday on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.
Luigi's.
RN. First Look with Scott Cox. Morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name of the school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Have you ever wondered what the specials are at Luigi's on each and every day? I just know some of them. I know the prime rib day. I know the Florentine shells day, which is actually today. I think lasagna is one of the specials today. Well, I'll tell you the secret. There are matchbooks covers at the register. Just grab one, and on the back, they have all the daily specials for the week. And I'm gearing up for my visit this weekend. I'm headed this Saturday. And as I told you, my strategy, whenever I head to Luigi's, I start in the deli. Say hi to Lynette, might even taste a little Prosecco or maybe one of the incredible Italian wines that Lynette is a specialty in. She's one of the best sommeliers that you'll ever run into. Then go say hi to Julie, have a cocktail while I'm waiting to be seated. And then with the temperatures, I'm going to be inside, start with the truffles, and probably have a Monty burger. Where would you rather be? Beat the heat. Get inside. Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Progressive's Home Quote Explorer helps you easily find and buy the right coverage for you. It's everything you've always wanted. Well, I mean, as far as a website that lets you shop, quote, and buy insurance in one place. But hey, maybe that is everything you've always wanted. Yeah, people have different types of dreams. And if all you've ever been searching for is a website that helps you choose home insurance rates and coverage, boy, do we have great news about Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday, 24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for
$25.
You guessed it, didn't you? $10. The $10 bucket of the day deal every weekday. Only at KFC. It's finger licking good.
Prices and participation variable. Supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Very nice amarillo, my brothers. Suddenly a militant. That's Gil Scott Heron. And that was the reference to Van Jones, who said the revolution is being televised. And he's alluding to the unbelievable performance of all the socialists. I refuse to call them democratic socialists. I refuse. They're socialists. They're lucky I don't call them communists because they are borderline communists. Meantime, have you heard the horrendous news? I'm sure most of you have heard this horrendous news that's going on at the Kern River. I don't know why people mess around with the Kern River. We just got over a truly tragic, like if you're screwing around in the Kern River and you die, I ain't got tears for you. I'm sorry. I know that's black-hearted, but we're just getting over the guy that tried to go in after his dog. They were just fishing. The dog fell in. He went in after the dog. They both were found later. That is tragic. You being stupid enough to get in that damn river, even without a life jacket, and that's always the way it is, and that's the way it was with these two different groups. And some of these kids got lucky, and some of them didn't. They were ages 17 to 21, and one of the bodies was recovered at Hart Park. There were 5 people in 2 different groups. In one of the groups, there were 3 people. 2 of the 3 were saved. One has not. They have not determined the identification of the body or released the name of the body. So that could be that third person in that one group. And the 2 others happened to be saved. They got caught on an island. I've told you, I did a live shot once. I got a lot of love for this just because of my knowledge of Kern River Golf Course. And these kids were caught on an island behind the golf course, behind where Stan Moe has the Piles Boys Camp barbecue. And if you go way deep back in there, and you would only know this if you've been to that area of the barbecue or the golf course, the river runs back through that. And I knew that. And I got our live truck back through there, through the golf course. And we went live from the river with these kids. It's one of my best live shots where I'm on the banks of the river and these kids are stuck on this island. And you've got the volunteers on the what do you call these things, Chris?
The jet skis?
Jet skis. They're on jet skis and they're on canoes and power boats. And they're still trying. And it went on during the whole show. So they would come to me and I'd be like, that's still going on. They'd come to me back 10 minutes later. Yep, they got one of them off. And like manipulate. I think we had an hour back then. And it manipulated the whole damn show. And I just did the whole live shot from there. So fortunately, those 2 kids ended up in the same fate. They were able to cling on to an island. But I don't know what their residency is. I'm assuming it's LA County or not even Fresno County. I think it's just the southern people that are stupid enough to screw around with this deadly, deadly river. And it's not as if we don't publicize the fact that this thing is deadly. They changed the number of deaths. I think it was in the low 2s or maybe high 1s, like 196 when I first moved here. And I'm pretty sure it's like in the 3s now. And it's just, you cannot survive that thing. And how you could even contemplate getting in without a life jacket that's why I can't shed a tear for you. I really can't. I'm sorry. Let's read a couple of text messages and then we're off to Philadelphia.
Ralph, what about the Mesa Marin School, right? After the racetrack that was there in the area?
I believe that was one of the suggestions. But don't you understand my point? The BCSD ignored all the community suggestions. Helen Chavez was not suggested by the community. Neither was Si Se Puede. You're going to name a school after a Spanish phrase? Like, what if I'm black? Where do you go to school, Ralph? Si Se Puede. What? What if you're Muslim? What if you're Sikh? So can we name black schools? I don't give me a black phrase, Chris. I couldn't come up with
I'm not going to touch that with football.
Yeah, I can't come up with that either. Not one that would make sense. But I mean, yo mama, can we name that? Yo mama? Or you know what the new phrase is with the kids? Oh my mama, I didn't do it. That's like the new phrase of the 21st century. Oh my mama. Can we name that for black school in Cottonwood? Oh my mama. It makes as much sense as si se puede. And these guys are educators with like master's degrees. We're smart. We're smarter than the community. Even though our kids don't go to these public schools. I bet there's not one member of that board whose kid goes to a public school. That could be challenged. Unbelievable. Screw the community. We're smarter than them. Name it after Helen Chavez. I'm telling you, in a year or two, somebody's going to dig up something on Helen Chavez and they're going to change the name again. Watch. There's no way she was completely innocent or blind of all the misdeeds her husband were doing over the decades. Quick timeout. We're off to Philly. Nick Ragone.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM.
Oh, she is all dressed up.
An American General Media station.
Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump
She is all
canceled the
dressed
planned
up. She
signing
does
of
have
a
a date.
bipartisan housing bill, saying the Save America Act needed to be signed first.
A dress?
That angered some members of his own
That girl
party who
ain't
met
never
with the
wore a
president
dress
after
in
the
this building
announcement.
in her
Speaking
life.
with reporters after meeting with Senate Republicans, President Trump says he was happy with the visit.
I think we had a really great meeting, and we're very proud of the party. We like our leader. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are. But I'll give you that information someday. But for the most part, we have a really well unified party.
Trump had signaled ahead of time that he would use the closed-door meeting to push senators to pass his proof of citizenship voting bill. Washington is becoming the centerpiece of America's 250th birthday celebration. Willie Nelson reports from the White House.
President Trump is kicking off the Great American State Fair on the National Mall as celebrations begin for America's 250th birthday. The event will feature all 50 states and 6 U.S. territories, along with military flyovers, live entertainment, exhibits, food, and family attractions. President Trump is set to deliver remarks as the nationwide celebration gets underway. Willie Nelson, the White House.
The head of the UN's nuclear agency signaled that Iranian nuclear enrichment sites would be visited by his inspectors, a key component in the interim U.S.-Iran deal to reach an end to the war. An Iranian diplomat instead insisted on Wednesday that any such visit would only come after a final deal. Leaders from the U.S. and Iran have repeatedly disagreed in public about what the interim deal actually means. On Wall Street, a mixed day as the Dow was up by 182 points. The Nasdaq dropped 110. The S&P 500 lower by 7. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Libya is banning entry to people.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
In the dog attack and drowning in California City, I'm Chris Davis. Police there now say that the 12-year-old boy who drowned in a pond along Heather Avenue Thursday evening jumped into that pond to get away from several dogs, which had also attacked an 8-year-old girl. Police are now looking for 68-year-old Kenneth Dobbins, saying that he's the one who had the unleashed dogs at the park. They say When found, Dobbins will be charged with involuntary manslaughter and negligent owner of a mischievous animal causing serious bodily injury and or death to another. If you've been keeping up with the story of the murder of a woman, which happened in front of her kids at the Shadow Ridge Apartments back on March 25th, the court says after a Tuesday hearing that the case against 33-year-old Victor Farias will go forward, and an arraignment is set for July 6th. Farias is facing first-degree murder and child cruelty charges in the stabbing of Yolanda Rojo. A new name for Cesar Chavez Elementary. That school will be renamed in August, and at the behest of the granddaughter of Cesar and Helen Chavez, the school will be renamed for her grandmother instead of her grandfather. Barbara Ibarra made the case for that in front of the Bakersfield City School Board Tuesday night, reports ABC 23, and the board agreed that it was the best choice, despite that name never having been discussed by the renaming committee. The Pierce fire in Taft caused some evacuation orders to be put in place Tuesday, but those orders have since been lifted. So far, the brush fire has burned about 200 acres and was about 5% contained, with firefighters still working on it. The fire is along Highway 33 between Hilliard Street and Midway Road, and that is the area where the highway was closed to traffic. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour, and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
You know who's going to love that?
The rest of a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. Too late. They start shooting in a week. I'm going to make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 24th day of June. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230, and we're streaming live, KERNradio.com. We still got lots to do. I'll tell you the story of what's going on with RMS Titanic. They're trying to sell off jewelry and expensive items that they found at the ocean's floor and amongst the rubble of the Titanic. But the government's saying, no, hold on. I'll explain that. And then coming up at the 5, we'll meet Nicole Alvarez. She's the executive director of the program Discovery America. It's part of BCSD and what Bakersfield College is doing to try to get young people involved in college at a very, very young age. Get into that. And the Dodgers got a big win last night. They've taken 2 out of 3 from the Twins. They're going for a sweep tonight. And then it's off to San Diego against our rivals, Manny Machado and those idiots. And then we get to play in the bandbox. We get to play in a Little League field in Sacramento when we take on the A's at the end of the week. That ought to be fun. Because what we scored last night, 12 runs, it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. In the meantime, as we talked about earlier in the broadcast, the PGA Tour announced sweeping changes that will alter the circuit's competitive model starting in 2028. To be honest with you, I don't understand it. So we get on the phone and call our golf aficionado live from Philadelphia, PA, the Commonwealth of our good friend Nick Ragone. What's really going on?
What don't you understand, Ralph? You can't keep up with the almost daily, weekly changes of the PGA Tour. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's about 15 minutes of my show, and I got bigger fish to fry, so I get on the phone and I call you and have you explain it, and it's an excuse to have you on the show.
Well, it is a good excuse.
Yeah.
The changes are this. I think they're good. But to backtrack, it's interesting because, we've been talking about this the last 4 years. The PGA Tour model wasn't really broken 4 years ago. It was just that LIV had unlimited bankroll because the PIP wanted to launder its reputation through golf. And so the business model wasn't really broken for the tour, but because all this kind of unrealistic PIP money came in, they felt the need to change. And once they started changing, they had to keep changing. And I think the changes this year, going into next year, are this. Instead of having these kind of no-cut elevated events, they're creating 2 separate tours. One is 20 events, cuts, $20 million purses. And the players, the 120 players who are in that tour, have to play in those events. They cannot play in the other events. And then there's a second kind of challenger tour. It's not the Korn Ferry Tour. It's in between the big tour and the Korn Ferry Tour, the Challenger Series, and that'll be 20 events, and that'll be for the other 150 guys. And so it's basically 2 PGA Tours now. There's the one that we're going to see 20 times a year with Rory and all the big names. And then there's going to be, when that's not happening, they're going to have events, and you're going to say, this looks like a Korn Ferry event. I don't know any of these players. The purses are small. It's not on TV. And that'll be the other 20 events a year. And hopefully the theory is that we're going to see the great players together 20 times, and that's what's going to elevate the game.
We're not going to see the Challenger players on television, on ESPN or the Golf Channel?
I mean, I think the Challenger Series, they're going to try to get a network contract. It'll probably be on the Golf Channel. So my guess is, you'll see all 4 rounds on the Golf Channel. And guys like us who really like watching golf will find it.
Yeah.
But I don't, some of them, the legacy Challenger events that are in big markets might be on CBS and NBC. And I think that part, the TV contracts are still to be determined. But if you think about it, the one thing that's really interesting is, so for the Championship Series, the purses are $20 million, which are, huge. For the Challenger Series, they're $4 million, which are basically glorified Korn Ferry events. They're 1/5. So there really are 2 completely separate tours now.
How many members will be on the Championship Tour?
There'll be 120 people in the field, and I think it'll be like 150 members. But they're going to be pretty much required to play those 20 events. So it's not going to be like some of the guys can skip a bunch of events and play in the Challenger Series. The guys that are in the Champion Tour, the Championship Series, are going to have to play those events, and they can't punch down to the Challenger Series. So, on the plus side, we are going to see 20 times a year all the big names together, and hopefully that'll include like Bryson and John Rahm and DeChambeau someday, and DJ. But we'll see those big names 20 times a year competing with cuts. Nobody liked the no cut thing. And then the rest of the time, we're going to see what feels like Korn Ferry events.
Yeah. How does one move up from the Challenger to the Champion?
So there's 2 ways on the Challenger Tour. If you win twice during the season, you get a battlefield promotion. Or they're going to do something where at the end of the year, 20 guys are going to get elevated. 20 guys on the Championship Series will get delegated. And, there'll be Q School in some other ways. But essentially, they're pretty static, meaning during the course of the year, you're not going to see sponsors exemptions. So like Jordan Spieth isn't going to get into every Championship Series because, like this year, he hasn't played his way in. He's got top sponsors exemptions. But So there's going to be no Monday qualifiers. There's going to be no sponsor exemptions. It's going to basically be a closed shop for those 120 guys for that year. And then at the end of the year, they'll reshuffle the deck, and the guys that played poorly will go get relegated, and the guys that played well will get elevated. And the only way really during the season is if you get a battlefield promotion and win twice. So that's going to be a big difference too, because right now we're used to seeing, if you top 10, you get into the next week's event, or if you're, the Aon Series top 5 or whatever they have. But now it's going to be like those guys are going to be set for the year.
Wow.
It is a little crazy.
That is fascinating. What do you think of that? I like sponsor exemptions. I like guys that are long in the tooth or had a bad streak trying to qualify and get back into it.
Well, you'll see that on the Challenger Series. So in the Challenger Series, there will be Monday qualifiers, there'll be exemptions, there'll be all that. And you'll see these feel-good stories of guys who, the older names who Monday qualified, who got in through a fluke or whatever. You're just not going to see that in the Championship Series. You're really, every week, on the Championship Series, you're going to see the Rorys and JTs and, JJ Spawns and all these guys playing. You're not going to see, no names winning. You're not going to see, and I think their theory is they want you to see these 120 guys over and over and over again so that it creates more recognizable stars.
Yeah.
Because right now it is kind of hard because it's not, there's so many events and there's no breakthrough stars, and they want to basically say, look, 20 times a year, you get to see these 120 guys, and hopefully you'll get to recognize all those names, and they will be the Class A stars. And then on the Challenger side, if you're really jonesing to see a great upset or a Monday qualifier or some no-name do something special, that's where you're going to see that stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that. How I'm assuming it does not even touch the majors.
No, I mean, it doesn't touch the majors. I mean, I think the way they talked about it yesterday was that, they'll be probably, they count the 4 majors towards the 20 to 22 events. So like it'll be maybe 16 what we would call PGA Tour events, and then the 4 majors would constitute the 20 championship series events. And so, and again, the purses on those are $20 million, which is basically what the purses are right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. That's like 20 players championship purses. So in theory, that's actually more than the elevated series now. So they're playing 20 times a year. They're playing for $20 million, which is a lot of money. And then the rest of the time, the Challenger Series, they're playing for $4 million, which is, Korn Ferry event basically on steroids.
Yeah. How are they determining what the 16 events are? Aren't we going to lose some classic courses and classic events by limiting it to just 16?
Absolutely. And I think that's the part that they're going to figure out in the next 6 months. Like this week, for instance, they're at the Travelers, Hartford, it's an elevated event. It's historic. Like they've intimated they're going to keep the Rivieras and the Pebbles and
you have to.
Muirfield, I imagine, and Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Right.
There'll be some big name events, some big market events like the John Deere. Not that that's a big market event, but that'll clearly become a Challenger Series one. And some of these, the ones in Texas, the Valero Texas Open and the Byron Nelson.
I was just going to say
they're going to become relegated. And here's the interesting thing. So if you're Scotty Scheffler and you like to play in Texas events to support them, if they're Challenger Series events, you cannot play in them. And so it's going to really hurt those Challenger Series events because if they're used to like having Jordan Spieth and Scotty Scheffler in the Valero Texas Open, in the Byron Nelson, and some of these other Texas events, they're not going to be able to play in that stuff if they're in the Championship Series.
Yeah.
So that's a big blow.
And how do they prepare for the Masters and some of these major tournaments where mostly leading up to the majors, they're kind of minor tournaments, but they use them to get ready. Those tournaments will never, I think they're never going to be in that part of that 16, would they?
That will be fascinating. I don't think they will. It's a great point. So, like, if you're one of those guys that likes to play your way into majors, you're probably not going to have that chance because the week before is probably going to be a Valero Texas Open or Byron Nelson or Colonial or one of those events. And so it'll be fascinating because they're not allowed to play in them. So those guys, you will hear whining. If the week before each major is a Challenger Series event, you're going to hear a lot of whining, like, where am I supposed to go to get my game in shape?
Yeah, yeah. And, of course, I'm thinking of my home state, South Carolina. You think Hilton Head? You think the Heritage, the RBC Heritage will fall in the 16?
I think that would be one of the 16.
I hope
so. An elevated. I mean, my guess is like Riviera will be, Pebble will be, the Waste Management will be, Bay Hill will be,
Jack's
will
Tournament
be,
Ohio
Heritage will be, the Travelers.
Bay Hill.
You can kind of predict it. Bay Hill for sure.
Yeah.
And then, you can predict which ones won't be, the Valero Texas Open and the Cognizant and the John Deere and the Rocket Mortgage. Like, there's zero chance they're going to be in the Championship Series. And so it's, I actually think they're good changes because I think the way it's going now is not good. Having the no-cut elevated events are terrible.
Yeah.
And then having this morass of other events, 50 other events. So I think, now we're going to see events with the 20 events where we're going to have the best fields and there's going to be a cut and they're going to be playing for something. I think we'll be much better in producing stars in the long run.
Yeah. Isn't that a shame that we have to do that? Because it's a lack of stardom, isn't it? It's putting us forward.
Yeah. I mean, it is bizarre. Like I said, it was kind of like, Liv created a false economics. It created a problem where none existed. And so it's not that the PGA Tour's model was broken and it was responding to it. It was responding to irrational money in the marketplace. And so the tour had to do some irrational things like create these elevated events and create crazy purses. And it upset a lot of things in the ecosystem. And now that Liv is going away, you have to do something to kind of correct it again. And so this is what they're doing. I think it's a good move. I like it a lot. But I also think they were really solving for a problem that never existed because the Liv model wasn't really sustainable.
Yeah.
And I do think, look, at the time when they got DeChambeau and Rahm and DJ and
they panicked a little bit.
Some of the other big names, the tour panicked and they had to do something, and they did do something, and now they're undoing it.
Yeah. And I mean, look at the purses. I mean, Wyndham Clark just won almost $5 million. Hell, Burns won $2.5 million for second. Those are gargantuan
that's the U.S.
purses.
Open. Obviously, it's not the PGA Tour, but the USGA has always said that they'll keep their purse the highest, so it's $22 million this year. And I think, the Players Championship and the Masters. I mean, the interesting thing about golf, Ralph, as you know, most people don't know this, but like the PGA Tour is the premier governing body, the premier tour. But the 4 biggest events of the year, it doesn't control. There's no other sport where, like, the NFL does, it'd be like the NFL didn't control the Super Bowl or MLB didn't control the World Series. And so, and the average golfer, kind of understands it, but kind of doesn't. But like the 4 biggest events on the calendar that add prestige and legacy and history and all that other stuff, status, exemptions, purse, are controlled by the PGA Tour.
Yeah, that's crazy. 2 by the USGA, 1 independently, and one
by the USGA, PGA of America, R&A.
And who controls the PGA? Oh, the PGA.
The PGA of America controls the PGA.
Yeah, my bad. That was.
And then, look, the 5th major of the Players is the PGA Tour, but it is odd that in golf, the 4 biggest weeks of the year are not controlled by the undisputed best tour on the planet.
Yeah.
And so it's a little quirky.
Interesting. Well said, sir. I could have never broken that down. I didn't really read it. I just saw it, and I said, well, we'll just have Nick on and explain this deal. I'll leave you with this kind of a weird thing. Did you see Wyndham Clark on Pat Sajak, Pat Garrett? What is it, Pat McAfee? Where he brought up the 2016 incident between his girlfriend and
Baker. I did see that.
Like, why would you go there? This is why I don't like this guy. Why in the world?
I think he's trying to rehabilitate his image, and maybe he's trying to humanize himself. I mean, I do think I give Wyndham Clark credit for like answering the questions about Oakmont and taking it on the chin and not getting defensive. And I think he's trying to just be relatable. I don't know how that story helps, but I do credit him for trying to be relatable.
Exactly. That's my point. It doesn't help anything. And you look like you're trying to portray yourself as a victim. And now the Mayfield family is having an interesting conversation, whatever night that this dropped. You know what I'm saying? Because what if they were dating at the time? I mean, come on, dude, let it go. It's weird. People do weird things on podcasts. What's interesting to me is Tiger was up at the Travelers at the press conference and talked, and in typical Tiger fashion, didn't address any of the swirl around his personal life. Goes in, talks about the tour, and then leaves. Well, you thought he was? You really thought he was?
Tiger was there.
No, that he was going to address it?
Oh, no. I mean, I knew he wouldn't, but it's amazing how skilled he is at not answering anything.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. All right, sir. Always great to talk to you. I appreciate it. What excuse can we get to get you back? What's coming up?
We got the British Open in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be at the All-Star game. It's in Philadelphia, so I'll be there. So maybe I could give you an update from there.
Well, of course you'll be at the All-Star game. You'll be right behind home plate. I'm shocked you're not throwing out the first ball.
I mean, I'll be out at the home run derby and the game, so I'll give you some updates from there. I'll see if I can find some Dodgers.
That'd be cool. That'd be great. That would be outstanding, dude. I appreciate that. All right, man. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Later, bye.
All right, take care. Nick Ragone. Of course he's at the All-Star game. Of course. Where else would he be?
Living the life I should be.
I mean, just by the tail, he's got it. By the tail.
Schwarbs. Bryce Harper.
I bet Bryce Harper's been to his house. Or he's been to Harper's house. Makes me sick.
Hanging out with Jason Kelsey.
Playing golf with Jason Kelsey. Hanging out at the Vatican. By the way, I made a geographical error the other day. Egregious one. I said that he was in Capri, France. And I'm shocked none of y'all didn't call in here and call me an idiot. He was in Capri, Italy, and he was at the Vatican, and he was in Rome, and saw the Colosseum if you weren't with us earlier in the week. Some guys have all the luck, but you know what? It ain't got nothing to do with luck. Dude's a genius. Dude's an absolute charismatic genius. Makes me ill. Green with envy. Quick time out. We'll check the board, see what y'all are talking about. Coming up bottom of the hour, I'll tell you what's going on with the RMS Titanic Company. Yeah, it still exists. And they're trying to pawn off jewelry that they found aboard the ship. The most famous sinking of all time. Of all time. And then coming up at 5, Nicole Alvarez will join us live in studio, the Executive Director of Discovery America. She'll explain what that program is all about out in Bakersfield College and how it's getting young people interested and embedded into the idea of a college education. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program,
Go to
we still
KC
have a
Steakhouse.
giraffe on the
Feel like
loose
a
in
steak.
Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name of the school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey man, how's business going these days?
Oh, not that good. I'm really struggling to find qualified employees for my business.
Oh really? Have you tried reaching out to Employers Training Resource? They understand that having the right staff can significantly impact your company.
Really? How can they assist me?
Well, they promoted my jobs, held a recruitment, and pre-screened my job applicants, and they even set up the interviews, all at no cost. And they even offer financial hiring incentives like on-the-job training.
Wow, that sounds great. How do I get this?
Simple. All you have to do is call Employers Training Resource at 661-325-HIRE. That's 661-325-4473. Or visit their website at employerstrainingresource.com.
This Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Equal Opportunity Employer Program is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. For full federal funding disclosure details, visit employerstrainingresource.com/WDD/federal-funding-disclosure. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Ellie, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
If you have unfiled taxes
All I
or
remember
are in
was-
debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey Siri, what is the mascot for Inglewood High School in Los Angeles?
Okay, I found this on the web for what is the mascot for high school in Los Angeles.
She gave me LA High School. Show me, hey Siri, show me Inglewood High School.
The only option.
Inglewood High School in Inglewood, and they are called
Sentinel.
Is it the Sentinels?
Yeah.
You see that?
Inglewood High School in Inglewood, California uses the Sentinel as its mascot.
Do you see that? My memory is so bad that even when I get it right, I get it wrong. Because I said Sentinel, and I was like, no, that's not it. My memory is so bad, I can't even trust my own damn memory. That's wonderful. Coming up in the back half of the hour, I'm going to tell you the story of the RMS Titanic. I've got some other news we'll get to. We'll check the board. There was justice done on Truxton Avenue today regarding Vincent DeLeon. If you do not remember this infamous name, he is the gentleman. Gentlemen, he is the animal who attacked the woman at an in-shape gym in 2023, kidnapped her, used her card to make purchases, hit the ATM, then he viciously raped her. This with a rap sheet as long as your femur, the longest bone in your body. Well, he got his comeuppance today. I'll tell you what the Judge Bremer sentenced him to when we come back, because you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A strong earthquake has shaken Venezuela, swaying buildings in the capital city of Caracas. The U.S. Geological Survey reported a 7.1 magnitude, with the epicenter about 28 kilometers west of the community of Morón, located along the country's Caribbean coast. It had a depth of 13 kilometers. People evacuated swaying buildings and homes in the capital of Caracas. Authorities did not immediately report injuries or damages. President Trump is formally kicking off celebrations for America's 250th anniversary by working to get the country excited again. The president is hosting a rally Wednesday night on Washington's National Mall. Festivities will include a flyover by stealth bombers, military bands, and singer Lean Greenwood of God Bless the USA fame.
What if everything... Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
You may remember the stabbing of Yolanda Rojo, which happened at the Shadow Ridge Apartments on March 25th. Police arrested 33-year-old Victor Farias, who they say murdered the woman in front of their kids. And Tuesday, the court ruled that the case against Farias will proceed. He's charged with first-degree murder and child cruelty. The Pierce fire, intact, caused some evacuation orders to be put in place Tuesday, but those orders have since been lifted. So far, the brush fire has burned about 200 acres and was about 5% contained, with firefighters still at it. The fire is along Highway 33 between Hillard Street and Midway Road, and that is the area where the highway was closed to traffic. With the national price for gas now at $3.90 on average, according to Gas Buddy, the average in California is at $5.51. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. Are you looking for a doctor who truly listens? Someone who cares about your health and respects your time with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations? Well, it may be time to learn about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA partners with most Medicare Advantage health plans, giving you access to a large, community-based network of outstanding physicians and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Local doctors, trusted hospitals, personalized care. Medicare Advantage plans offer benefits beyond original Medicare, but understanding your options for 2026 can feel overwhelming. That's where we can help. Call 661-554-4544 today to learn more about your Medicare Advantage choices. Our knowledgeable team is ready to help you understand your coverage options and make confident decisions about your care. Again, that's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For the Central Valley, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring,
and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name of the school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, I'm a late comer to Rami Malek, but I'm a big fan.
Latecomer isn't to win.
The last Bond movie.
Ah, okay.
He was a great villain in that.
Fantastic.
And then I realized that I'd seen him in other things. And then I saw him on the Graham Norton show, where he told a great story. You know, please stand by.
Uh-oh. Sidebar here before you get into this Rami Malek story.
The show is going great today. I'm happy we got to tell.
Uh-oh.
Dude, I'm on fire. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. Where I've got like all kind of planes circling the airport. Just all
on that.
Just all of a sudden.
You can only sit in one.
Well, you know, one crashed.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
right,
like 3 took off. And they're all let me shut up before I get in trouble. What was it, Emma?
Rami Malek.
Yeah, so he told a great story on the Graham Norton show, which is a great show. Do you guys watch the Graham Norton show? I only catch it on reels. I never really catch it on television.
Same.
Like the full episode, but I catch it on reels. I get things, and there's some great, like Tom Hanks told a great story. He said, you know, they were talking about working with Clint Eastwood, who directed Sully, the story of Captain Sullenberger, who landed his plane on the Hudson River about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, saved 150 lives. And he was talking about the experience of being directed by Clint Eastwood. And he said, you know, when Clint was coming up, and in the early days of Hollywood, they made a big deal about, you know, it's why whenever I say Ralph Bailey, take 2, because they used to make a big deal out of, all right, everybody, action, roll. Everybody ready to go? Sound ready? All right, here we go. Action and action. And he said, that's not how Clint operates. And they're like, well, how does Clint do it? He says, you don't even know the camera's rolling. And he said, Clint will go, okay, go ahead. And the actors on the table with Bernard, that's it? He goes, that's it. That's it. He said, because when Clint was on Rawhide, they would do all this nonsense. All right, action, rolling, got tape rolling, everybody got sound, all right, action. And the horses would go nuts. So Clint just learned to just go, okay, go ahead. And so one of the actors on the thing said, well, how does he stop? And he said, it's fascinating you should ask, because he has an interesting way to cut a scene. He'll just be watching, because you know, you guys don't understand, when actors are acting, like you see where the camera is for those of you on YouTube, the director's like right here. Like they can literally like whisper, all right, now kiss her on the cheek. And you never hear it, they edit it out, but they're like right on top of you. And Hank says that when he says cut, he goes, okay, that's enough of that. And he says, yeah, it really inspires you when you're like, we can't do it again? We can't? No, that's enough of that, Tom. But anyway, Rami Malek was on the show, and he told the story about, you know, he's a twin. Yes. Did you know that?
Yes.
And he's like, we're not really that twins. We're identical. We're young, but not so much as we got old.
Not anymore.
And then they put up a picture, and it's like, what are you talking about? I mean, you can see the difference, but they're pretty damn close. And he said, we were much closer when we were in college. And so obviously the natural question comes up whenever you have a twin, you guys ever do anything funny and play each other? And Malik was like, it's kind of funny you say this. And you put me on the spot because my mom's in the audience, but I don't think she's ever heard this story. But my brother was going to UCLA and he was taking some Greek class. And at the end, the final was you had to do this Greek, not eulogy, a monologue. That's not the word I was looking for, but thank God I came up with one. A dialogue, a monologue, there's another word for it, and somebody will come up with it and give it to me. But anyway, a monologue. And so he just couldn't do it. So why not ask your acting twin brother to do it? And Rami's like, no. He says, come on, you got to do this for me, bro. My whole grade is depending on it. I can't graduate without it. He said, all right. And gave him the directions at UCLA. And he said, there's going to be a Latino janitor. His name, Jose. Ask about his sister, Marelza. And then the teacher's name was boop, boop, boop. And he's like, I was so nervous that I was going to pull it off. And he went through what I went through. You know, he knew UCLA was a big school, but I got to take my SATs twice. And the second time I got to take him, I had to take him at Royce Hall at UCLA. And I knew UCLA was a big school too. But when I opened the door, because I was late, because I'm Ralph Bailey, I mean, there are like 400 people in this classroom taking the SAT. And I was scared to death. And Malik says the same story. He said he thought I was coming to a class, maybe 40, 50 people, and he walks in, and it's like an auditorium. It's like 400, 500 people. So first of all, he doesn't think he's going to pull it off, that it's his brother. And he said the teacher kind of looked at him differently. And he said, all right, whatever his brother's name is, are you ready to do your soliloquy? Was the word I was looking for, soliloquy. And he says, yes. And he said, I didn't know. It's kind of the story that I tell when I used to write papers for the athletes at Cal State. And there was this one almost illiterate kid, and he almost got me busted because I only got him a C+ because the kid couldn't write. So I couldn't give him a Bailey paper. I couldn't give him a B or an A. I had to, throw in some fragments and some missed grammar and split infinitives and misspell a couple of words, and he got a C+, which this kid could never get in his own. But he was so bitter that he ratted me out. My days of plagiarizing papers for people were over. But so Remy said the same thing. He said, I couldn't give like an Academy Award performance. So I kind of tried to dial it down. But at the end, he said his professor was looking at him like, and he said, Ralph? And he started to panic. And he said, that was absolutely amazing. I think you need to change your calling. And he said, I need a favor. And he said, he started to panic. He said, can you come back and do that for our 5th period class a little bit later on? And he said, well, do I graduate? Did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, you definitely graduate. He said, no, I'm late. I got to go. Sorry. Oh, I love that story. I know it's a couple of minutes you'll never get back, but I love that story. What do you got on the board? Anything? 842-5376, 842-KERN.
I got a couple here. First one says, Ralph, can I ask a question of you?
No. No,
I'm
kidding. Yes, of course you can.
Why couldn't the founding fathers sometimes be wrong instead of being right all the time? Sometimes they were wrong.
Well, of course, sometimes they were wrong. Hello, slavery. But I think in terms of the founding of our government, I don't think they were wrong because they are the 1930s and 40s veterans were the greatest generation. I think we can all agree on that. These men and women that put aside everything in their lives for the sake of democracy, and then came home in 1945 and put their uniforms in mothballs, and many of them suffering from PTSD, just dealt with it, put their coveralls on, got back on their tractor, and went back to work. And all they did was save democracy, little d, literally. But I don't think there's any question among the greatest scholars, the most brilliant men of the 250 years of our history were the founding fathers who read Greek and Latin. Thomas Jefferson could write with both hands. He often did. The inventions that this chair that I'm circling in, that was created by Thomas Jefferson in the 18th century. And in terms of the fundamental of our government, no, I don't think they made mistakes. Did they make moral mistakes? Of course they did. Thomas Jefferson was one of the greatest presidents of ever, but he had a slave for a mistress, which is the absolute ultimate sexual molestation, essentially. Because why? She couldn't say no. That's essentially rape. They weren't perfect men. I'm not trying to portray the founding fathers as perfect men who enslaved my relatives, literally, as descendant as it may be. Bailey was a slave to some of the founding fathers. But when you look at our system of government, this is the greatest democracy, or it's not even a democracy, it's a republic. And the fact that they did not make it a direct representation democracy illustrates the brilliance. That essentially they set up a government where we said, okay, Cassie Biddle, we're going to elect you city council member, and we're going to depend on your intelligence, your passion for this community, and go ahead and vote for us, as opposed to what a direct representation is, where you take orders from the constituents. And so in ensuring a republic, and just the safeguards that they put up and the checks and balances. Now, in the 21st century, we've seen that threatened. We've seen members of one part of our three branches try to delve into another or try to sway into another. But the checks and balances that they put up, the deliberative body that they set up, as opposed to the 2-year body that they put up. Now, I do have problems with a 2-year Congress. I really do. I think it should be a 4-year term, because with a 2-year term, 3 months into getting elected, what are you doing? You're raising money. You're raising money because in 21 months, you're going to be up for election again. I despise that. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I do understand the different bodies, the difference between the House and the Senate. I think it is brilliant. So, I mean, yes, they made mistakes, but I think the Electoral College is brilliant. It's becoming a discussion again because the Democrats have a problem with it. Hillary Clinton was on a podcast recently and said it was an abomination. Well, of course you did, because you lost. You got the most votes, the Electoral College screwed you. And that's an illustration on how important the Electoral College is. Because why did she lose? Go back and look at 2016. Why did Hillary lose? Because she assumed she was going to win Wisconsin and some of those swing states, and she didn't go there. She did not go there. Go back and read some of the books that some of her team wrote about the 2016 election, and they will tell you that the biggest mistake that campaign made was kind of blowing off Minnesota, blowing off Wisconsin. I think they won Minnesota, but they blew off Wisconsin, they blew off Michigan, they blew off some states that they didn't think Trump had a chance in, and he stole them. And if you get rid of the Electoral College, the only campaigns will be in New York City, Florida, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Chicago. That's about it. That's the only place you'd have to go to win a popular vote. Win California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. Win Florida, Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville. Win New York, New York City, Illinois, Chicago, and maybe what other state would I throw in there? Big populous state. Maybe Pennsylvania. No, that's not even a big population state. It's a big electoral college state. It's not a big population state. Texas. Texas, yeah. You'd have to. So California, Texas, Florida, New York, and you win. That's crazy. That's why the Electoral College will never get rid of. If we get rid of the Electoral College, why in the hell would I go to Alaska? Why in the world would I ever spend a nickel in Wyoming? Idaho. Are you kidding? So to answer your question in 5 minutes, let's go. No, the founding fathers weren't perfect, but of the 250 years that I've studied this country, they're the smartest men that have ever existed, in my opinion, in terms of folks that had to put together. Can you imagine the bunch of nitwits we have as politicians today had to start a government, had to put together checks and balances, what the numbers should be, the powers of the executive branch versus the judicial branch versus the legislative branch, cloture, overruling a veto. These nitwits would screw it up. Are you kidding? It's worked for about 250 years. Let's don't fix it if it ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? Quick time out. Daniel Petrie is insisting to get in here, so let's read what he's got on. Let's see what he's talking about. Preach it, Ralph. Spot on. Thank you, Mr. Petrie, who joins us tomorrow, along with, no, not Mike Turnipseed. He's got private things he's got to do tomorrow. But Manav Shah, local Bakersfield Country Club pro who just qualified for the U.S. Open and shot a very respectable 73-74, missing the cut by only 3 strokes. We'll talk to Manav tomorrow as well. Quick break. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM.
Casey?
Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name of the school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know what? One of the joys of trying to watch your diet, eat a lot of chicken and turkey and avocado and things that'll keep my blood pressure down and my A1C down, is that every now and again you can cheat. Well, tonight is one of those nights for me. I'm having a little protein. So where am I headed? You know where I'm headed. I'm headed right up the street on F Street to KC Steakhouse. I just can't figure out whether I should have the filet or the New York, or I just might have the ribeye. Because I told you guys, I saw Romeo Agbalag, and if it's on the special, where Romeo had it, where the ribeye was surrounded by strips of bacon and stuffed with blue cheese, are you kidding me? Or I can go the safe route and play healthy and get the salmon. KC Steakhouse salmon is outstanding. I've told you about the options of fish, halibut, salmon, mahi-mahi, and swordfish. Again, not everybody's feeling red meat, but tonight I am, and I'm going to have a steak at the best steakhouse in all of Kern County, KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his long-standing and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2299.
Look, folks, when it comes to IT support, not all companies are the same. Many make big promises, but very few have the depth of talent, advanced systems, and proven solutions that Grapevine MSP brings to the table. At Grapevine MSP, they don't just fix problems, they prevent them. Their fully managed IT services keep your systems running smoothly and securely 24/7. So when something happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be stuck trying to reach your provider. Grapevine MSP's local team is already on it with advanced network monitoring. They generally catch the issue before you even notice, and they're calling you to say that it's already been handled. Their dedicated cybersecurity team protects you daily from evolving threats, while their industry-leading backup and disaster recovery keep your business online even in a crisis. All this for one simple, transparent monthly rate. Call 661-377-2992 or visit grapevinemsp.com to schedule your free network evaluation today. Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You see what Stephen A. Smith is reporting? What the Lakers are going to give AR?
Huh?
Huh?
You're going to give AR?
Contract extension, yeah. Austin Reeves.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. See what they're giving him?
Hopefully not the 160 or whatever he was asking for.
$46 million a year, a 4-year, $185 million deal.
They don't even average 20 a game.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, geez, what is this? Kyle Tucker? 234, and he's making $60 million a year. And now this guy hits a couple of jump shots. And we're going to give him $46 million. You know what he was asking for? Or what his option was? 14. And he turned that down. I guess so. I need his agent.
So
That's crazy.
This kid's going to make more money than probably LeBron next year.
It is the highest undrafted contract in the history of the NBA.
That's wild. I mean, good for him. Don't get me wrong. He's a stud, but...
So how do you bring in a third player?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Because if you bring in... We need another player. We need somebody better than Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
And if you bring in somebody better than Austin Reeves, what are you paying him?
Well, see,
55, 60?
Latest rumor I hear is LA and Cleveland might do something here to potentially get a sign-in trade to get LeBron over to Cleveland and get you guys a big man, which would be Jared Allen. I love Jared Allen. I would hate to see him go, but I think he would fit really well with Luka and potentially Austin Rivers.
How much will we have to pay him? Now that we just paid this guy 46.
He's not that crazy of a contract.
Yeah, but if you're paying him 46, I need at least 30. I need at least 30. I'm going to make $16 million less than this guy. I was drafted. This kid is undrafted. And what is Jared Allen? He puts in, 18 a night?
No.
No? He's not a scorer?
Nah, he's more of a rebounder, blocker kind of guy.
What is he average?
Oh, let me see. His contract is 3 years, 91 mil, though, so he's already getting 30 a year.
That's what I'm saying. So what? He's not going to settle for 30 to move. He's going to need 40, 50, particularly when he sees that this kid's making 46. What's he put in?
So last season, he averaged 15 and a half.
That's what I'm saying.
15 and a half with.
And what did AR average? Austin Reeves. I bet not even 20 points a night.
No, they're claiming 23-3.
Oh, that's not true.
No, I can't.
If that were true, the Lakers would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, ESPN is saying 23.
23 a night?
23.3 with 5.5 assists.
That's not $46 million a year. Or maybe it is. And
I'm honestly shocked it's 20. I legitimately thought he was somewhere in the 18. 19.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, 23 a night. Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Luka's 35.
And what's Luka making?
Luka better be making the most out of that entire team.
Wow. I cannot believe this kid got a 4-year, $185 million deal. I cannot believe that. Let's read a text message and get Miss Alvarez in here.
The man that drowned a couple days ago is a Bakersfield resident.
I know that. I forgot his name is Chuck something. Seemed like a nice guy, was fishing with his son, and the dog fell in, and he tried to go in after it. And I don't know, that'd be a tough call, dude. That'd be a tough call. That'd be a tough call. If I had a life preserver, I'd go in.
Yes.
But without a life preserver, stand back, son. We can go to the SPCA. I loved him too. I told you the only time I ever saw my dad cry was when our dog died, when Rusty died. But that's a tough call.
If your son's there, that's super traumatic for him too.
Kevin
Or
Hart,
still losing your dad too.
Kevin Hart has a bit that he used to do, where he said, there's equitability. Like, if a crocodile took my child, I love my child, but I'm sorry. I mean, I got a pair of crocodile shoes, so it's kind of karma. It's kind of a trade. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. That's a tough call.
That's a hard.
Now, if my son fell in, I don't think there's. Yeah, that's just instinct. That's dog. But my dog, yeah.
No, call me heartless. I love pets. I really do. I love animals.
Bye, Rusty. Hope you can swim, pal. Rusty, dog paddle. Dog paddle.
Tell me why I thought the same thing.
Keep your head up.
Doggy paddle. Get to the side.
Keep your head up.
Swim with the current.
Son, we'll go to the SPCA on Monday. We'll get you another dog, but I ain't. We can't get you another daddy. You hear me, woman? We can't get him another daddy. I'm the daddy. There's only one daddy. Quick timeout. Nikki Alvarez joins us from Bakersfield College. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
From Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani proves his power in the New York House races, plus more takeaways from Tuesday's primary.
All 8 candidates he endorsed, one with 2 defeating sitting congressmen. The Democratic Socialist says he's helping write a new chapter in the party's history.
I believe that will be key in not just the midterms coming up in November, but also in the years to come.
While progressives celebrate, some of the most powerful Democrats in Washington, including House Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who campaigned against some Mamdani candidates, downplayed the impact of the 34-year-old mayor. Others fear he and his loyalists may push the party too far left ahead of November's midterm elections. Julie Walker, New York.
Meanwhile, the results from the Tuesday Republican runoff for governor of the state of South Carolina are in.
In South Carolina, Attorney General Alan Wilson beating Lieutenant Governor Pam Yvette for the GOP gubernatorial nomination. Wilson winning by an almost 2-to-1 margin. President Trump initially endorsing Yvette in the first round when 3 other candidates, including Congresswoman Nancy Mace, were eliminated. President Trump then took to his Truth Social page and endorsed Yvette and Wilson, saying it's a wealth of riches with either. You can't go wrong.
Correspondent Laura Winters reporting. A former chief of staff to New York ex-mayor Eric Adams has been arrested in a bribery case. It's the latest sign that federal prosecutors continue to scrutinize Adams' inner circle months after the scandal-bruised Democrat left office. Frank Carone pleaded not guilty Wednesday. He's accused of exploiting his position to get over $100,000 in payoffs for steering a lucrative migrant shelter contract to a hotel. On Wall Street, up by 182 points, the Nasdaq dropped 110, the S&P 500 lower by 7. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It happens quietly, no warning label, no recall notice, no breaking news alert. Dog food recalls happen more than you think. Salmonella, aflatoxins, vitamin D levels toxic enough to cause kidney failure, and most owners never find out until it's too late. Right now, today, you could be feeding your dog something already flagged, and you'd have no idea. You can't control what's already in the bag, but you can control what you add to it. That's where America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens, comes in. Rough Greens is packed with live probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, and over 20 vitamins and minerals. All natural, made in the USA. You just sprinkle it on top of whatever you're already feeding them. Thousands of dogs are feeling younger, more energetic, and healthier than they have in years. Your dog could be one of them. Get a free Jumpstart trial bag today. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. Use the discount code MikeG. Rough is RUFF. Roughgreens.com. Discount code MikeG. Rough Greens makes any dog food better.
And then if you go back, you can
Big Tech sends stocks most
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
In the dog attack and drowning in California City, I'm Chris Davis. Police there now say that the 12-year-old boy who drowned in a pond along Heather Avenue Thursday evening jumped into that pond to get away from several dogs, which had also attacked an 8-year-old girl. Police are now looking for 68-year-old Kenneth Dobbins, saying that he's the one who had the unleashed dogs at the park. They say when found, Dobbins will be charged with involuntary manslaughter and negligent owner of a mischievous animal causing serious bodily injury and or death to another. If you've been keeping up with the story of the murder of a woman, which happened in front of her kids at the Shadow Ridge Apartments back on March 25th, the court says after a Tuesday hearing that the case against 33-year-old Victor Farias will go forward, and an arraignment is set for July 6th. Farias is facing first-degree murder and child cruelty charges in the stabbing of Yolanda Rojo. A new name for Cesar Chavez Elementary. That school will be renamed in August, and at the behest of the granddaughter of Cesar and Helen Chavez, the school will be renamed for her grandmother instead of her grandfather. Barbara Ibarra made the case for that in front of the Bakersfield City School Board Tuesday night, reports ABC 23, and the board agreed that it was the best choice, despite that name never having been discussed by the renaming committee. The Pierce fire in Taft caused some evacuation orders to be put in place Tuesday, but those orders have since been lifted. So far, the brush fire has burned about 200 acres and was about 5% contained, with firefighters still working on it. The fire is along Highway 33 between Hilliard Street and Midway Road, and that is the area where the highway was closed to traffic. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour, and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
To the rest of a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. Too late, they start shooting in a week. I'm going to make them an offer again.
The Ralph Bailey Show, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Wednesday, 24th day of June. We still got lots to do. I'll tell you the story of what's going on with BCSD. And just, I don't understand it. Maybe you can explain it to me. The community put forward a bunch of names for Cesar Chavez High School, or is it elementary? It's high school. And they absolutely ignored the community, and they came up with either Helen Chavez or Si Se Puede. Not making that up. They're going to name the school Si Se Puede. That got 0 votes. Helen Chavez got 1 vote. And as I said at the top of the show, what if we discover 8 months from now that Helen Chavez was enabling him? One of the main reasons that the players in this community didn't want to name it after anybody is because what if we have to go through this again? What if they name it after Ralph Bailey and they discover that I'm a Martian? You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't get it. We'll talk about that, and we'll recap our top stories. Zoran Memdani is the leader of the Democratic Party as a socialist. He really is. And we got some sports news we'll get to. The Dodgers won last night. They're going for a sweep tonight against the Twins, and the NBA draft, and some other sports news. But in the meantime, as those of you who are watching on YouTube can see, the lovely Nicole Alvarez is live in studio. She is the executive director of, let me get this straight, the Early College Access and Innovation at Bakersfield College.
Yes,
Thank
good
you.
job.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm a professional. Don't mess with me. And she just told me about 4 minutes ago. And we're talking about the College Discovery Academy. Tell us all about it.
So the College Discovery Academy, we are running our pilot session right now. We're working with Bakersfield City School District. So we have 125 children, grades 4 through 8, from 5 schools within the Bakersfield City School District. So McKinley, Emerson, Owens, Jefferson, and oh my gosh, I knew I was going to forget the 5th one.
That's all right.
McKinley, Owens, Emerson, Jefferson. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. I'm so sorry.
Right.
I did that the last time I was here talking about College Discovery Academy. Lincoln.
Lincoln, there you go.
Lincoln.
There you go.
Yes. So we were very intentional with working with Bakersfield City School District to select those 5 schools because the Academy is introducing students grades 4 through 8 to a college experience. So they've been with us since June 1st. So it's a 4-week summer college experience. It's not, the classes are not for credit. They're not non-credit. The students are not getting BCIDs, but they are coming onto the Bakersfield College campus. We're in one of the buildings. They're with us 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and they are studying 4 different pathways. So STEM, agriculture, industrial automation, and healthcare careers. They've been taking field trips to the labs for these programs and working on different projects in the classrooms and just really getting to see and experience life on a college campus.
This is brilliant. I have been such a strong supporter of this. We've been talking about this for almost a year now. And because I think if you go later, if you go 9th, 10th, 11th, it's too late at that point.
Right.
That's too late. But to start at 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 8-year-olds and instilling this idea that I'm one day going to be on this campus or a campus, I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I really do.
We're starting to survey them because we're wrapping up this week. So we're going to have a graduation ceremony on Tuesday at Bakersfield College in the Renegade Event Center. So they will cross the stage, get a certificate of completion for the last 4 weeks. And we're starting to survey them. And at last check, 100% of them said on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to go to college after taking this? All of them said 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before that, college wasn't a word in their lexicon. And they would never even think about it.
Exactly. And they've been on the BC campus for these past 4 weeks with
Which
us.
has to be awesome
9
for
a.m.
them.
to 4 p.m. They're eating lunch with us, having breakfast with us, walking across the campus to the different labs. And they've been in the labs. They were in the biology lab today. If you want to see what they've been doing and the fun they've been having, follow us on Instagram. We're at cda.kccd.
Say it one more time.
At cda.
Dot.
KCCD. Now let me double check.
I want to make check that out.
I'm sending you all to the right place.
Yeah, because I want to check that out. I really do.
Yes, cda.kccd. Yes,
Okay.
and so we have reels on there, videos. We're trying to document as much of it as we can so that next year we have more information to show the schools and the children and parents that we're going to be working with. Because there's also a parent education module that's happening right now too. We partnered with Parent Institute for Quality Education, or PK, and they are teaching weekly sessions to the parents of the CDA scholars.
Really?
So they're teaching them how to support their children through the college selection, college application, and college going processes.
That is incredible. That really is. And it's such a need. There's such a vacuum. Because many of these kids, they're the first generation going to college in their families.
Yes.
And so college admission and filling out paperwork is like, what?
Yeah.
And to get them this early is it's just awesome. It really, really is.
Yes.
Talking with Nicole Alvarez, she is the Early College Access and Innovation Executive Director. Talk more about what they're studying. What is STEM? Explain that.
Yes. So, and actually it's more of STEAM because we're factoring in some arts in there as well.
Okay.
But they have lessons that they do each day. KCSOS helped us with the curriculum so that it would be age appropriate and we could still factor in some literacy. But I say curriculum as a loose term because they're not taking tests, they're not taking quizzes, they don't have homework. These are a series of activities that they do centered in each pathway throughout the day. So in the morning, they're working on maybe agriculture activities. And in the afternoon, then they're working on STEAM activities. And then for a week, we focused on industrial automation. For a week, we focused on healthcare careers. And the projects all center around the pathway that they're studying. So the other day for STEAM,
explain what STEAM?
Yeah,
what
one of their so it's STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but we added the A for arts. Yeah. So yesterday, one of their activities or lessons was to engineer shoes for dogs because it's hot outside and the pavement gets really hot. So we create the kits based on the activity that they're doing. And so we give the kids their kits for everything they need to complete that lesson. And then we have facilitators in there who are student teaching facilitators. So we're also involving the Bakersfield College students. They're the ones teaching these lessons.
Wow.
So the kids can see themselves in that representation.
Right.
So each class has 2 BC student teaching facilitators, and they demo the lesson, they show them what they're going to be doing, and then they turn them loose and let them work through it and be creative and work in groups, and they're there mentoring them and showing them.
How are the schools selected, the 5 that you appropriately and correctly named?
Yes.
And how are the students selected as well?
So that was more on Bakersfield City School District. So I've been working with the assistant superintendent over there and the executive director of data and access and her team. And we worked together to select those 5 schools. We were really looking for schools within the Niles, Monterey, and Martin Luther King areas to kind of collaborate with the city of Bakersfield and their projects that they have going in those communities. So that's how we came up with the schools. And then the students were selected through the Chancellor Bloomberg and I went out to all 5 schools and did parent information nights. And Bakersfield City School District just put the call out to all parents with kids in those grade levels, and the parents that showed up and heard the information nights, if they applied to have their student in, most of them got accepted.
Was it a big turnout?
It was. Yeah, we hit our target. So we were looking to keep it kind of on the smaller side for this pilot. And I say on the smaller side, but we ended up with 125 students. So 6 classrooms, 13 BC student teaching facilitators. It's basically like its own little functioning elementary school within Bakersfield College. You know, the kids are calling me the principal. We've had great partnership from Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Superintendent Mendaburu. They are sponsoring the transportation. So they're busing the kids from their home school to Bakersfield College and back.
Nice.
So they just have to make it to their school that they would regularly be going to.
In their neighborhoods.
Buses pick them up, bring them to us, and then at the end of the day, they pick them up and take them back, and that's all donated by KCSOS. And then I'm working with their nutrition services as well, KCSOS Nutrition Services. The kids get breakfast and lunch every day.
Wow.
So it's a lot of community partnership. Chevron made a generous donation. California Resources Corporation made a generous donation. BC Foundation has helped us a lot. It's been a true community effort.
It really has been. That is incredible. Obviously, you see this thing expanding next summer. I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah, there is so much demand. And I'm kind of a team of one. So we have to work on expanding our staff, expanding our facilities, but hopefully we can up the capacity a little more next summer. And I know the demand is just going to continue to outweigh the supply, but that is a good problem to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the true joy will come a little bit farther down the road when the first student from this program is an actual BC student.
Yes.
That will be absolutely amazing.
And it may not be that far down the road because, we have a really strong early college and dual enrollment program.
Yes, tell us about that again.
And that was the concept kind of behind CDA with early college, dual enrollment. We're reaching the students when they're a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
90% of the time. Sometimes there are those few that are in 7th or 8th grade and they're very advanced and their parents are helping them and they get signed up and take a few classes. But for the most part, it's that freshman year. We want to start the pipeline sooner. Now, all of these 125 kids and their parents know about early college and dual enrollment. They know what to ask for when the kids are enrolled in high school, when they're becoming 9th graders, or maybe for some of them, we have a lot of GATE kids in the program right now that came from Owens. And they're advanced enough to start taking 1 or 2 classes, maybe in their 8th grade year. Maybe they take 1 class in the fall and 1 class in the spring for those really advanced kids. So we're looking to just strengthen that pipeline and build the outreach sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the key word, I think, is outreach, that you're essentially bringing the education to these children by bringing them onto the campus.
Yes.
And just instilling them the idea that, look, this is the goal. And then the 4-year college is the goal. Then maybe a master's degree after this. But this is the magic bullet.
Yes.
And if we can get that message at a young age, it's absolutely transformational.
Yeah.
It really is.
And especially that was why industrial automation was one of the pathways that we selected, because we do offer the Bachelor of Science in industrial automation. So if that is something that resonated with the kids, which with most of them it did, because they loved all the robotics and everything when they were in that lab, then they know what to ask for and they know, okay, I want to work on a bachelor's in industrial automation. So I'm going to start taking some of my Gen Eds when I'm in 9th grade and 10th, 11th, 12th. I'm going to start on this soon so that I can earn a bachelor's degree earlier. And these were not thoughts in these kids' heads 3 weeks ago.
No, it's just incredible. It really, really is. And I just love talking about it. It's amazing. It really is. And again, outreach is the key. And just implanting the seeds of education in these kids and making them understand this is your out. This is your opportunity. This is the magic bullet.
Yes.
Nicole, always fun to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming in and taking the time, and keep up the great work. And I bet you have 250 kids next year.
I hope so.
Yeah,
and I hope there's more staff. So that's the plug for a bigger team, more kids.
Nicole Alvarez, everybody. Quick time out. We still got lots to do. We'll take a short time out. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. We got some sports things to talk about. And we'll talk about the renaming of Cesar Chavez School. All that's coming up. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Sweet. That was great. That was really good.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1
I am starving.
and AM 1230.
I might have the ribeye. Every Thursday at 4:30, Daniel Petrie lightens up the broadcast with his incredible wit, pure intelligence, political knowledge, and obviously an absolute master of economics. That's why he's such an important cog on this broadcast. You can hear him even on some of his off days when there are financial movements that we can't explain. We lean on my man from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. And of course, you know what they're all about. They're all about retirement. I've turned at least 3 or 4 different people on to Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. And that's what I said. I could see her parked in the parking lot. You could be happy as well with your situation in terms of the fourth quarter in your life. If you call 395-9400, 395-9400, the offices of Messmaker and everybody else
Wealth
is smart
Advisors.
enough to
This broadcast is
figure
for
out how
informational
to get it
purposes
to my
only. It does
house,
not
but I
constitute
could
investment
tell
advice or a solicitation for advisory
barely
services by
speak
Daniel
English,
Petrie
and
or
she no
MPWA
way
Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits
why I
in
was just
connection with
like,
this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients. And we're back.
And we're back. Yes,
Rob
we are.
and Bob are back on the airwaves.
Rob and Bob. That's right. Well, not technically. Some
Oh.
contracts have taken longer than we thought.
We're fighting with the man a little bit, but California Fruit Depot still wants us to tell you that the lemons are free.
Yep.
The oranges are ripe.
Free lemons.
Local
And
nuts.
did I mention free parking?
Smoothies.
What about the big giveaway?
An incredible staff. Yes, the big giveaway. Let's announce this right now for the first time ever.
Yes. Free tank of gas to anyone who shops at Cal Fruit Depot. Some restrictions apply.
You must spend $10,000 on the same purchase.
That's like one tank of gas anyway.
And get a free
It's a fair
tank of
trade.
gas. I will follow you to the gas station, top it off,
It's a $5 gift card.
maximum 5 gallons. So if you have a motorcycle, this could work out great for you. Think about that cost per mile. That's not bad.
Only from Cal Fruit Depot.
And that's $10,000 worth of pistachios or $10,000 worth of oranges.
Spread
Think
them
about
around.
it. CalFruitDepot.com. $10,000 offer has many restrictions, many of which are never repeated. Please see our website for no details.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? A man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $110 per month, level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. Call Term Busters for a quote, 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate for preferred non-tobacco rate class. Exam required to qualify. For details, call 1-800-908-7636. Paid for by Robert Livinger, insurance agent.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show.
other people's beats. How they get away with that? They have to be paying.
Oh yeah, if you do it the legal way.
Because whose song is that? And the colored girls go because that's the beat they're using, right?
Right. Can't remember the name of the song.
I can't either. And I can't remember who.
It's the same thing we talked about when we were talking about Ice Cube the other day.
Exactly.
They pay the royalties and they just pay the person, say, hey, I want to use your beat, but mix it a little bit to make it my own, which most of these guys do, and make it different. But that's also the trouble you run in because, like, what's the guy? Vanilla Ice against Queen when he took his big song.
Robin Thicke.
And Robin Thicke, exactly. Like, those guys didn't pay and just said, I'm going to take it for myself.
And then tried to claim that they didn't.
They took one note out and it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And it's not.
And it's totally not. You listen to Marvin Gaye's song and and I love that Robin Thicke song.
Mm.
Well, what's the name of that song?
Blurred Lines? Was it Blurred
Lines? You know I'm sexy. That was a big hit for a hot minute.
I think that's Blurred Lines.
Yeah. I think you're right. He was on with Up in Smoke with the guys, and they were talking about his dad, who apparently was a Forum Club regular, which means I don't know for a fact because I was too young when we had season tickets. I was in high school, but my dad used to go up in the Forum Club every now and again just to have a cocktail. And but Magic, once the Magic era, because my dad sold our tickets when Magic Johnson got drafted. It's the only time I've really ever cursed my father. Like, you did what? Dad, we got a first-round pick coming up. Could be Larry Bird. And there was a coin flip. They got Bird, and we got Magic. And I remember watching the Bird Magic game with my dad. And I said, you realize we're going to get one of these guys. Although I think the Celtics already had rights to Bird. And I said, you realize that if he comes out, we're going to get him. It was like, nah. He's not going to come. They don't come out as a sophomore. This is 1979, which was kind of unheard of back then. And lo and behold, he came out, and Jerry West drafted him.
Imagine how different it would be if it flipped, though. Larry
Did a
as
Bird
Laker.
come here, and then Magic had gone there?
Boston.
Well, Magic almost signed with the Kansas City Royals, Kansas City Kings, Kansas City Kings, who became the Sacramento Kings. And, you know, the importance. That's why I say, if you look at all the elite athletes, name me an elite basketball player.
Ron?
Two-parent family. Give me another one.
Shaq, definitely.
Two-parent family.
Yeah.
Dad was his stepdad, biggest player in his family. Jordan, Magic, Larry, even though Larry's dad died of suicide, which is another athletic phenomenon. You know how many major athletes' dads passed away from suicide? Jerry West, Archie Manning, Peyton and Eli's grandfather whacked himself. Archie was coming home from church early and was the one to find him. Ben Hogan. There are a bunch of premier athletes whose fathers took their own lives.
LeBron did not have a father growing up, though. I just looked at that. He was raised by a single
Oh, that's
mother.
right. I did know that. He's the exception. But Michael Jordan, you saw Jordan lying on the ground when his dad passed away and he won the championship. Magic's parents, and the reason I brought that up is because it was Magic's father, because Magic wanted to take it. The Kings were going to give him about $200,000. And so Magic was like, deal. And his father was like, come here. It's like, you've been broke for 18 years. You can be broke one more. And they waited, and he got drafted by the Lakers. And Irvin Johnson is now the Prince of LA, now that Kobe's gone. Quick timeout, last half hour. Don't go anywhere.
With us are news. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Back-to-back powerful earthquakes have slammed Venezuela, collapsing buildings in the capital of Caracas. The U.S. Geological Survey said the first earthquake had a magnitude of 7.1, and its epicenter was west of the community of Morón, located along the country's Caribbean coast about 104 miles west of Caracas. The quake had a depth of 13 kilometers. Minutes later, the USGS reported an even larger 7.5 magnitude earthquake. President Trump formally kicked off celebrations for America's 250th anniversary by working to get the country excited again. The president hosted a rally Wednesday night on Washington's National Mall. Festivities included a flyover by stealth bombers and a presidential speech. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
68-year-old Kenneth Dobbins was a wanted man in California City, with police there saying that he had the dogs in the park on Heather Avenue, which attacked an 8-year-old girl and caused the drowning of a 12-year-old boy Thursday evening. Police say the boy ran and jumped into a pond to get away from the dogs. Cesar Chavez Elementary School in Bakersfield will have a new name to begin the new school year. It will instead be Helen Chavez Elementary. 23 ABC reports that Barbara Ibarra, the granddaughter of Cesar and Helen Chavez, spoke at last night's school board meeting, asking the board to remember the contributions of her grandmother in renaming the school, and the board agreed to that. That was a new suggestion that had not been discussed before, and the board is taking some flack for it. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN. Hey, it's that man again for Sangera Subaru. You know, the world's biggest tournament is here. And this summer, Sangera Subaru is bringing all the excitement home. So they're kicking it off with some incredible offers on new Subarus all month long. Right now, lease a 2026 Outback Premium CVT for $229 a month for 36 months and $5,014 due at signing. Plus, every Subaru comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. So don't miss your chance to drive something new during soccer's biggest event of the summer going on right now at Sangera Subaru. So stop by, see my good friends Damon Culbertson and Hassan Levy, and test drive a brand new Subaru. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersville Auto Mall.
Lease 2026 Subaru Outback Premium CVT with TSRP $37,287, $229 per month plus tax for 36 months. Total lease payments $8,855, $5,014 total due at lease signing. Includes first month's payment, excludes tax, title, license, and $85 document fee. Total lease cost $13,869, excludes tax and fees. No security deposit. Lease based on 7,500 miles per year, 50 cents per mile over. Available to qualified customers through Subaru Motor Finance on approved credit. Expires June 30, 2026. Excludes optional equipment and dealer installed accessories. VIN number TY514370.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older? And you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look program, we still have a giraffe on the loose in Texas and apparently another mountain lion in Hanford. We got the latest on the reflecting pool, the name of the school fiasco in Delano. We got news and traffic and weather right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
So what's the theme today? Songs that stole other people's beats? That's 3 in a row. 84253. Have I told you my Sam Levinson story?
I don't know if you have.
He was on Bill Maher the other day. You know who Sam Levinson is, don't you? He is Barry Levinson's son. Barry Levinson is the director of one of the great, not troikas, not triple plays. What do they call them? When it's a set of 3 movies. What do they call
Trilogy?
them? Trilogy. Nicely done. Trilogy. About Baltimore. And one of them is classics. It's Diner, which got an incredible cast. Daniel Stern, Mickey Rourke, a young Mickey Rourke, a young Kevin Kline. No, Kevin Bartle. No, Kevin Hart. There are too many Kevins. Kevin Bacon, young Kevin Bacon. And there's some other stars in there that you would know. Paul Reiser is the comedian in the movie. And then there's another Avalon, and then Tin Men, which is a really good film starring Danny DeVito and Richard Dreyfuss, who play Tin Men in the 1950s, which was a huge thing. These guys that were basically grifters, con men, selling aluminum siding to put on people's homes. And they did it very, very nefariously, let's put it that way. And through a series of circumstances, Dreyfuss and DeVito get into an automobile accident, and they both blame each other. And Dreyfuss plays a very vindictive, arrogant character. And so they find out that they're both tin men and they work for opposing stations, companies. So they start to get into a bitter war where DeVito gets drunk one night, sees his car, what's his name's car, and bashes out his lights. And then, who's the other guy? Richard Dreyfuss. Dreyfuss comes back and does something to him. And then he does something more back to Dreyfuss. So now Dreyfuss is pissed and learns that he knows his wife. And so he goes after his wife just to sleep with her, to get back with him. And it's Hollywood. He falls in love with her. She leaves DeVito. Now he's stuck with his wife, but he doesn't really want her. He just wanted to sleep with her, but actually starts to fall in love with her. And it's, it's a Ralph Bailey kind of ending. And it's just a really good film. But his son, Sam, I'm shocked you did not know this, Mr. Burdick, because this is your generation. Barry Levinson is mine. But Sam Levinson is the creator, writer of Euphoria. And he came on and talked about, because apparently Mar has been on board with Euphoria from the beginning and just thinks and I didn't know this. He thinks it's one of the best HBO series ever. I was like, you lost your mind. And apparently it's the second highest grossing.
Yeah.
To what?
I'm assuming Sopranos?
That's what I thought. No.
Game of Thrones?
Yes. Yes, Game of Thrones is number one. I thought for sure Sopranos would have been number one.
I'm thinking timing, though. Like nowadays, things make way more money than they did back then.
And back when The Sopranos started, not everybody had HBO.
Yeah, good point.
It wasn't as universal as
Most
it is
people
now.
didn't have HBO.
Yeah, exactly. So, because I had a buddy of mine who would come to my house to watch it. So I know that not everybody had HBO at the time. But it was interesting because he tells the story about, because the first question Mar asked him was, are you really putting this thing to bed? And he asked the very same thing that I guess I haven't talked about this on the show. I guess I talked about this privately, because I said, there's no way they're getting rid of it. Or maybe we did talk about this part of it. I didn't talk about Levinson, but I did talk about the ending.
I think you mentioned it with Rick Bentley.
Did I?
Yeah.
How Zendaya died.
Yes.
And how you're just going to leave that money on the table? You're just not going to have. And he's like, no. He's like, no, I felt that this was the ending. And then he got into his own life. He was a drug addict from the time he was 11 until he was 19. He said that his parents put him on, like the ADHD and all that nonsense.
Yeah, the pills.
And then he started just experimenting with them and started to enjoying them. And he became a drug addict until he was 19. And then apparently this was an Israeli series. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of like All in the Family. All in the Family was a British show that Norman Lear converted into an American show. And that's often, there are several hit shows that were converted from European or
like The Office and a lot of
The Office, exactly. Another great example. And so this was an Israeli show, apparently, that Levinson rewrote. And he was explaining to him, because Mar asked, how the hell do you kill off Zendaya? And he said, we had to. Because in this era, I had to show that, because he gave some statistics about fentanyl deaths. And how he said, the majority of these kids aren't popping fentanyl. They're popping ecstasy, they're snorting coke, they're taking OxyContin that's been laced with fentanyl. And they depicted in the film, if you haven't seen Euphoria, the series, they depict it incredibly well, because the point that he's trying to make is, it is mind-boggling what a tiny amount of fentanyl can kill you. Because Zendaya dies, she doesn't die because the pill that she takes is laced with fentanyl. There's an entire scene where one of the girls is cutting up fentanyl and she doesn't take her gloves off or doesn't remove her hands, and then she handles the opioids. So in other words, just the mere residue of fentanyl on your hand that touches another pill, and you take that pill, dead as a doornail. Out like a mackerel. And that's the point he was trying to make, that if you're a child, and because some of these stories you would not believe. Like when this thing started about 10, 12, 15 years ago, I forget the guest that we had in. I will never forget this. I almost fell out of my chair. And they were explaining what's going on with children today. And he said, whoever it was told me, Ralph, these kids are doing things where they're stealing drugs from their parents. And then they go to a party and they all throw the pills in a bowl. And then they just pick out pills and toss them down. And I was like, that can't be true.
It's the dumbest thing.
And that's what I said. That's suicide. That can't. He goes, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And so Levinson's point was, I had to kill the main character. I had to show just how lethal this thing is and how dangerous and random. Because again, my perception was that these kids, like, why are they taking fentanyl? Most of them aren't. They're doing cocaine that just happens to be sprinkled with a little fentanyl because they want to get you addicted. They're taking opioids. They're taking, Percocet, and Norco, and Vicodin, and all this stuff that's just laced or even just has the residue. I told you the story. I have a mutual friend that you all would know if I said her name, and her ex-husband and his girlfriend were doing a little coke, dead as a doornail. And, the coke lines were still on the coffee table, and they were dead. And obviously the cops took the coke, analyzed it, laced with fentanyl. And I'm sure they had no idea because she told me he was not a pill taker. She said he'd been doing cocaine since the 80s. He's a 50-something-year-old man doing coke, which is another stupid thing. But he was not a pill guy and had nothing to do with it. It just happened to be laced with fentanyl. And they both died from a line or two of coke. It's just crazy. It's to the point where it makes guys like me who smoke weed look smart. And that's why I don't buy street weed anymore. I go with, I'm not wearing it today. Forgot. I'm not wearing it. I had to get dressed up today. I had a meeting earlier.
I was waiting for it. I was like, what, are you going to break away like Superman? What's happening?
Tear it off and have my Highway 99 collective t-shirt on.
Now, that would be a hell of a promo.
That would have been if I had just torn this off and had my black t-shirt underneath. Of which I have 3. Remember I said I thought I had 2? I have 3. I found a third one. In fact, let's go ahead and take our final break of the day. I'm going to have a steak. I'm going to have me a steak. I'm feeling steak tonight. Steak. New York filet or ribeye? I prefer the filet, but I'm starving.
See, I go ribeye when I'm starving.
I had, what did I have for breakfast this morning?
Anna? Eggs?
I had 2 eggs and an avocado. Half an avocado. That's what I had for breakfast. Mark Swain eggs, as a matter of fact. With little I took half the avocado, chopped that up into the eggs, a little tomato, a little onion, a little Luigi seasoning. Oh, and then I warmed up some chicken. I have a rotisserie chicken in my freezer. Thawed that out, just chopped up a little chicken. Actually, had a pretty good, I don't know why I'm starving. I had a pretty good breakfast, actually. But I feel like protein. Quick time out. Keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. Tomorrow's a Thursday. Mr. Turnipseed won't be with us, but Daniel Petrie will be here. Along with U.S. Open qualifier, professional golfer out of Bakersfield Country Club, Manav Shaw will join us as well. But in the meantime, keep it locked right here on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1230, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Thursday edition of the First Look.
Whenever you're ready.
I forgot to take my meds. Keep me alive. 3-2. I'm telling you, there's no 3-2. There's no telling what's going on inside the head of Donald Trump. First, this ridiculous MOA. Oh, Lord. 3-2. There's no telling what's going on inside the head of the president. First is this ridiculous MOU where the Iranians are making millions. Then we're going to turn over 300 billion more to them. And now he scuttles an affordable housing bill. It's almost as if he is trying, as we head into the midterms, to destroy the Republican Party. 3-2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Thursday TRBS. No Michael Turnipseed, but Daniel Petrie will be here. And we get to talk to U.S. Open qualifier Manav Shah, who posted a very respectable 73-74 and missed the cut by only 3 strokes. All that, plus me at 3. It's TRBS right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
Health.com to learn more.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Always reminds me of my dad. Where you going? Where you going? My favorite part. No idea what he's saying. No idea what he's saying. No idea. Every Labor Day, it was our party time. All the families. The Sewsburys had the summer party. We had the fall party. And the Williamses had the Christmas party. The Williamses would put on a mean Christmas party. We would play Trivial Pursuit every year. Guess who'd win? My dad. No, I would win sometimes. I'm a pretty good trivia player. In fact, go ask I'm blacking out. Kreisenbach, Garrett Kreisenbach. Oh, if it gets back that I almost forgot Garrett's name. He's going to kill me. His wife will shoot me, but Garrett will kill me. But Garrett is like the greatest Trivial Pursuit player ever. And I went to his house twice and beat him. Twice. One is a bit controversial because, I'll be honest, Zucchini was cheating. Zucchini gave me like 2 answers. But the first time I beat him fair and square. Second time, it was a little controversial. We've been drinking the second time. And I told you, Zucchini, he gets crazy. And that'll come back to me as well. But yeah, he gets a little crazy. And he was like, gave me a little, because he wanted, because Garrett is like, nobody's ever beaten him. I think I'm the first one to ever beat him. I don't know. Do you know something about Garrett Kreisenbach? Because I know a lot of you know Garrett Kreisenbach. And if you don't know Garrett Kreisenbach, I bet you know his parents. But did you know that Garrett is an unbelievable musician? Dude can play the crap out of a piano. And I am so envious because I was right there and just wouldn't take, I just couldn't do it. And my mother, maybe she'd gone about it in a different way, but my lessons were like I remember they were like on Tuesdays and Thursdays at like 3:30 in the afternoon, like a half an hour after I got home from school, like at 10 and 11. Like, you really think you can get a 10-year-old, particularly in the 70s? Like today, all you got to do is, hey, Ralph, come into the room. Because a 10-year and an 11-year-old is inside the house. But in the 70s, 10-year-old, my mother would have to like stand out in the front yard and scream my name, and I'd be down the block and, Ralph, your mama's calling you. Yeah, I hear. Dang, I just got home. And I have to walk home, and my piano teacher had a funky smell to her. I didn't really like her. And during the week, from Thursday to Tuesday, I would have to practice. I would never practice. And so finally, after about a month, she comes to the house. I'm happy to be inside, and I hear her tell Mrs. Bailey, this is going to be my last time. In fact, I'm not even going to perform today because Ralph just refuses to practice, and we're just not getting anywhere, and I just feel bad taking your money. And she said, well, thank you very much. And then I don't think I got an ass whooping, but I think my mother brought me into the room and yelled at me for about 15, 20 minutes. Can't do anything for you. Trying to give you a little culture. And what do you want to do? You want to go run around and have races in the gutter and ride your sister's big wheel down the street? I'm trying to put a little culture in your life, and you want to climb trees. Yeah, that's about it, Mom. Yeah. I'd rather climb trees, have gutter races, and ride Tina's big wheel than sit here with Mrs. Doherty, who stinks, by the way, Mom. She does not stink. Mom, she stinks. Okay, she does smell a little different. See? But that has nothing to do with you not taking your lessons, boy. Make me so mad, I don't know what to do. My mother's favorite saying. Make me so mad, I don't know what to do. No, I'm saved, too. Got to go to church because you're stupid behind. You're narrow behind. I always had a narrow behind when I was in trouble. Get your narrow behind down these steps. I was always like, I got a nice little booty. What do you got on the board? I'm going to go have a steak. Go to steak. I'm having New York tonight.
Ralph, not everyone with a degree is smart.
That is very true. What's that got to do with anything? Oh, is that the BCSD people? These people have multiple degrees. But that is very, very true. And I think we're beginning to move away from that. I really do. I think we're at 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to move away from, because we've had two different eras where you had to have a college degree. Now a college degree is equivalent to a high school degree. You got to have a master's degree. Don't tell me about it. But I think we're moving away from that. I really, truly do. I think that experience and life lessons and things like that are playing a role in hiring more. I don't know. What else?
Ralph, are we the only country that goes by the electoral college system, or everyone else goes by popular vote?
Everybody else goes by popular vote. But most countries aren't divided the way we are with states. I know Switzerland has cantons, because I've been there. I don't know how France divvies up its communities, but we have states. Remember, we started as 13, everybody thinks we started as 13 states. No, we started as 13 nations. Like, each state felt it was its own republic, its own country. Like, there's this idea of the beginning of this country that when we broke away from England, that we became the United States. That's not the case. That's not the case. In fact, it was Ben Franklin that led the idea that, look, we've got to come together. We've got to have, I think, overall laws, and then you can still have state laws, but we have to come together as a union. And so I'm not sure how other countries divvy up their land, but we have states, and states have rights. But at the same time, we have to have some kind of uniformity. And you have to have a system that demands that you do have to go to Alaska. You do have to go to Wyoming, because those three measly electoral college votes could be all the difference. But in a popular vote, the 98 people that live in Wyoming ain't gonna make a doggone difference. The 7 people that live in Alaska ain't gonna make a doggone difference. But their 2 electoral votes could be the difference between being president and being Hillary Clinton. So it forces these, because again, remember, if you strictly go by the popular vote, why would you go to Wyoming? Why would you go to Idaho? You would go to California, Florida, Texas, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and that's about it. And you could win. And you could win. Having never gone to Kentucky, having never gone to Tennessee, you could just go to Texas, Florida, California, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Austin, Dallas, Houston, Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, New York, Long Island, Manhattan, Upper State, Albany, Chicago, go to Detroit, Michigan, maybe go to Ohio, and call it a day. You would never in a million years go to Idaho, Wyoming, Washington State, Oregon. You kidding me? I got to get out of here. I'm going to go have a steak at Casey's Steakhouse. Chris, I'm Ralph. That's what's really going on.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
From Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. There was a heated exchange at a Republican meeting with President Trump.
President Donald Trump berated Senate Republicans during a closed-door meeting on Capitol Hill for allowing a vote to block his war in Iran. Trump had particular words for the 4 Republican senators who voted with Democrats. Most Republicans stayed quiet during the meeting, but Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, who lost re-election in his primary last month after Trump endorsed an opponent, stood up and defended his vote.
I'm voting for more powers until I get a brief.
Adding,
But I, again, match his tone.
And says,
the American people need to know more than we are being told.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Democratic Socialists won big time in New York after moderate Democrats fell to far-left candidates endorsed by the New York City mayor.
Socialists sweeping primary races in New York, knocking mainstream Democrats off the ballot. It was a very big night for New York City's Democrat Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani, as all of the socialist candidates he endorsed won their primary races. This is a major shift to the far left, and liberal media now calling the New York City mayor a kingmaker. All of these winners, for example, want to abolish ICE.
Correspondent Laura Winters reporting at one campaign event, chants of free Palestine were heard. Some centrist Democrats warn that the left flank is too extreme on Israel and other issues, risking losses for the party in November. Back-to-back powerful earthquakes measuring 7.1 and 7.5 respectively have slammed Venezuela, collapsing buildings in the capital of Caracas. On Wall Street, a mixed day as the Dow was up by 182 points, the Nasdaq dropped 110. More at townhall.com.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until